Stick with me, our hero just woke up as a lowly goblin. But this monster has a broken secret. He gains massive power every time he fathers a child. No, you heard that right. He levels up by having babies, and he can do it with any race, humans, elves, or even other monsters. Boy, just don't get your hopes up too high. If you get sent to another world, you won't get a cheat like that. You'd better pray you don't end up being chased by giants instead. Besides, his new life isn't exactly all sunshine and rainbows just because of his unique power. Our protagonist has already been captured and brutally tortured, left more broken than a fallen kingdom after a long siege. They shattered his spirit so badly that he grew to despise the human race, even though he was once a human himself. Now pay attention, because this is where the cycle of revenge truly begins. After the old chief died, the goblin tribe fell into chaos. They were literally at each other's throats, fighting to become the new leader and claim the female captives the old chief left behind. The scent of blood and lust filled the air, but one unique goblin stood his ground as the guardian of those prisoners. Suddenly, he hears a scream and rushes over to find a group of goblins ganging up on a young human girl. You know exactly what they were planning. Pretty dark, right? When the mob saw our hero, they attacked in a rage, but he took one down instantly using an actual steel weapon. Seeing a goblin with a sword sent the rest running in terror. The girl thanked him for the rescue, unaware he wasn't always a monster. In his past life, he was a man named Liam until he was taken out by the legendary Truck Hun. It's always you, isn't it? Now he's a goblin with a mysterious system, though it looks like the interface isn't 100% ready yet. You and I both know the trope, but this world is cruel. The gods created magic for humans, leaving goblins as the most hated, weakest monsters of all. Even compared to other goblins, his starting stats are absolutely pathetic. But don't forget how he gains strength. Looking at this human girl, she might already be carrying his very next power-up. Female goblins don't exist, so they have to kidnap other species. Since he was once human, the whole idea feels completely wrong to him. The girl tells him he's different from the others and shouldn't have to live like a wild beast in a cave. She mentions a group of knights approaching, hoping they'll show him mercy. But suddenly, more goblins arrive, and trust me, things are about to get messy. Stick with me, he shouts for the girl to run. A foul creature appears, screeching about the arriving knights and how he needs to breed for strength. Even facing death, the beast's instinct is to find a mate. Honestly, it's just pure madness. Now watch this. One strike sends his brother straight to hell. The king's army really has arrived. She cries out in relief, weeping joyfully that the royal knights have finally come. You noticed it too, right? This goblin looks bloated and weak. Then, suddenly, he freezes. Stick with me, we're watching a knight obliterate his fellow brothers in arms with a single massive strike. He is terrifyingly strong. He's fuming over a ruined cloak, but pay attention to his god-tier status. You and I have to wonder, is he even human? Let's dive in as the lady screams they've arrived, while our chubby duke stands frozen in thought until he finally senses danger. The knight's blade nearly cleaves her in two, but look closely as he saves her, trust me. They end in a suggestive pose. All right, let's dive into this. At first, Sir Barnaby thought the shadows played tricks on him, but that terrifying aura, there was no mistaking it. The girl claims her name is Catherine, and he coldly replies that he already knows that. All right, you and I are jumping into a total mess. Sir Alistair claims she's already been tainted by monsters, but Alara weeps, swearing she's pure because the goblin protected her. She points at Barnaby, crediting him for her survival, but the heartless knight doesn't care. The creature tries to run. He shoves her towards safety and grabs a staff. He expects a fatal blow, but a flash of golden light stops the knight's blade. A woman orders Alistair to halt. Alara begs the saintess for salvation with every ounce of her remaining strength. The saintess asks if the creature can actually understand human speech. Barnaby realizes this is his only chance to escape this nightmare alive. Now watch closely. He manages a yes and desperately explains he's actually a human from another world, hoping for a holy blessing from this woman. Sir Alistair is stunned, while the saintess declares the talking creature a gift from the divine matriarch. Seraphina asks if he truly protected the girl, and Alara confirms it. They decide to take him in for a closer inspection. The saintess asks if he accepts their terms, and he agrees instantly. With a snap of her fingers, she dispels the holy barrier. While walking, she commands Alistair to proceed. Barnaby starts thanking her for his life, but she coldly cuts him off with a yes. Alara is stabbed in a completely different spot. What's happening? You and I need to see what's next. All right, you and I are about to see what happens when a hero gets betrayed by those he bled for. This priestess with a massive ego demands he pays her back double when they return. 1 week after the tragedy. Trust me, you and I are about to see how Lord Alaric's lies ignite the fires of a fake holy war. He claims Lady Catherine fell to monsters, while Saintess Alara promises the sanctuary will shield the faithful. It's all just a sick game to control the terrified masses through fear and religion. Every desperate prayer only makes their divine sanctuary even stronger. I barely give the mechanical pedal one turn before the chain pops off. Suddenly, someone calls for the saintess. She looks down with pure disdain. Our hero is broken and bloody, screaming every curse he knows at her. Alara mocks his survival, deciding to use his body to test how lethal her new poisons are on a goblin. He roars that she betrayed everyone and murdered Catherine, but she just drives her blade deep into his chest. She claims Catherine was a traitor who was seduced into speaking for those filthy monsters. To Alara, goblins are mere parasites. She expects him to be grateful that his body can serve her twisted human experiments. Is this the end? Reincarnating with a merciful heart was his biggest and most fatal mistake. They tortured him daily for sport until the light left his eyes. If given another life, he'd never trust humans. He would hunt every last one of them down. Suddenly, his surroundings shift into a dark void. Now watch this. The system calls him the world's dumbest traveler, but it's finally giving him a second chance to reset. He realizes his system only triggers upon death. He is sent back 1 week in time with all his memories intact. This is his path to vengeance. He will personally slaughter Lord Alaric and the treacherous saintess for what they did. Back in the goblin den, he feels a surge of power. The system warns him that another death is permanent as the knights approach his location. He unlocks a decision simulator to use once daily, and he activates it before the knights break through. In this timeline, Alaric has already located the cave. Leon needs to find a way out fast. His choices are to warn the tribe, abandon them to save himself, or simply hide and pray the knights pass. But he knows the truth. Even together, these goblins wouldn't stand a chance against trained soldiers. He picks the high-reward path to test his limits, but the simulation shows him getting slaughtered by the human raiding party. At least he earned 10 points. He knows he can't rely on the tribe, so he opens the system's exchange shop to spend his points. He buys an elven dagger for 10 points, granting him a 15 strength boost and 10% more speed. Leon wonders where Catherine is. The system explains that his rebirth altered the timeline, and she was never actually captured. Now his only goal is survival. At the entrance, the guards are laughing about how much they hate goblins. Our hero pinches his nose and mimics the desperate cry of a young girl. The guards rush in, eager to kill any survivor for the Lord's reward. Leon hides in the shadows, waiting with a cold smile before striking the first man right in the skull. Pay attention here, because this is where the real bloodbath finally begins. The second guard walks over, annoyed by the delay, completely unaware of the carnage waiting ahead. Leon grins as his plan unfolds. He lunges at the next soldier, his enchanted blade moving so fast the man just freezes. Leon slams a fist into the soldier's jaw. The knight collapses, overwhelmed by the kid's raw fury and unnatural speed. Leon leaps on him to finish the job. The dagger is terrifyingly sharp. He carves through armor and flesh alike, leaving the guard panicking on the cold stone floor. Bleeding out, the terrified soldier asks if this monster can actually understand human speech. He begs for his life, showing a family photo and crying about his children waiting at home. He's desperately trying to play on Leon's old human emotions. He sees the goblin hesitate and thinks he's found a way out. The guard calls him a smart creature and claims he was only following the Saintess's holy orders. He offers gold and women to buy his freedom, all while slowly reaching for his hidden blade to strike back. Believing Leon fell for the trap, the soldier lunges like a rat, but he's about to learn a very painful lesson. With a blur of steel, Leon guts the traitorous rat before the man can even finish his desperate swing. This is just the first step of his vengeance. He won't waste this last chance in a world that betrayed him. Leon feels the cold certainty that his mission will soon be complete. You and I are going to watch as he steals a guard's uniform to hunt Lord Alaric in plain sight. All right, you and I are about to witness a revenge story that flips the script completely. Right then, the captain and the Saintess arrive where their guards were just slaughtered. Alaric doubts a common goblin could do this, but Alara suspects they're dealing with a powerful mutant. The captain warns that if rumors of a mutant spread, the entire kingdom could face chaos. Looming over the fallen guard, Alaric sneers, calling the man worthless for losing to a single green monster. Meanwhile, the twisted Saintess Alara practically glows at the thought of finding a rare mutant. She looks almost possessed, finding the idea of a different kind of goblin strangely exciting in the worst way. The Saintess laughs, planning to have some dark fun once they catch it. Now, back to Leon in the forest. Leon finally breathes a sigh of relief as his escape plan from that cursed cave actually works. While eating, he vows to get revenge the goblin way, using his dark stats to expand his influence. Leon vows that in this dark new life, every man's only wish will be death, while women weep at his feet. Now watch closely. He hears a noise and wonders if Alaric is still hunting him. Leon spots a hooded figure emerging and strikes immediately, refusing to give the intruder even a second to react. The figure trips, and Leon freezes in shock when he realizes it's actually another goblin. He can't believe his eyes, especially when the creature starts speaking with the same intelligence as a human. He keeps his guard up. Whoever she is, she was hiding in the shadows for a reason. Leon is baffled by her feminine features, since his kind usually only has males who reproduce with other species. The terrified girl begs him not to strike, claiming she just came to the stream for some water. Leon can't believe this little monster speaks in full sentences. He checks her status and sees something that chills his blood. If a male mates with a female of his own kind, he'll become a powerful goblin god. You and I both know what he's thinking. This girl is his one-way ticket to gaining absolute power. Desperate and shaking, the girl explains that her cruel boss sent her out to fetch water. She fears a beating if she returns empty-handed, but she's stunned to find another goblin actually talking and calming her. Leon warns her to stop crying, or she'll lead Alaric's group straight to where they're hiding right now. Still in disbelief, she asks if he can truly speak like her. He gives a cold nod. Leon knows most of their kind are mindless beasts, which is why she's never fit in. She calls him kind. The girl says others only hit and insult her. Then she asks if he wants to join her village. Leon sees another path to power. He asks about this hidden tribe while keeping his hand on his weapon. He doesn't know if Alaric's knights are still close, so finding a safe fortress is his top priority. With revenge fueling his every move, he tells her he'll follow her back to the goblin village for now. He admits he needs subordinates to build his army and asks her to lead the way to her tribe. Soon, the settlement appears. The local goblins spot the stranger and watch him from a distance with narrowed eyes. They start mocking Leon's human clothes, calling him a freakish creature they've never seen before. Leon sees his chance to start his master plan. He demands to see their leader, claiming he wants to join them. The guards just laugh, saying their powerful chief isn't someone a random wanderer gets to see. The girl snaps back, telling them that Leon is a good person and they shouldn't do anything they'll regret. Suddenly, a booming voice cuts through the noise. asking why the entire tribe is causing such a ruckus. Leon's eyes sharpen as the chief finally shows himself. The leader is furious, demanding to know who's disturbing his peace. Leon quickly scans the chief's stats and realizes he's facing a rare and powerful high goblin. The chief glares at the girl, asking why she brought an outsider. She explains he has nowhere else to turn. The leader looks satisfied for a second, then suddenly orders the tribe to kill and eat the intruder immediately. The girl panics as the monsters surround them, but Leon calmly draws his jagged dagger. He holds the blade high, telling the chief he knows how to forge weapons like it. He offers to make everyone stronger. Interested by the promise of power, the chief calls off his warriors and steps forward. And that's where we leave it. Trust me, Leon's true revenge is only just getting started. Liam claims that if they find ore, he can forge simple iron blades and eventually make something legendary to seal the deal. He tells the chieftain those daggers would let them crush monsters, and even men alike. All right, you and I are about to see if Liam can survive this insane gamble. The goblins cheer for meat and fresh elves as the chieftain grants him one shot. He orders the tribe to search for iron ore for 3 days, so Liam can forge the weapons. If he fails, it is over. The elder points at the girl. She goes too, and if Liam falls short, she dies by his side. The leader leaves after giving the orders. Liam holds the girl tight, muttering that the old man is cruel enough to sacrifice his own kin. He knows he must forge these blades, just to buy time and grow his own power. Mission started. With a few vile creatures and his new companion, Liam heads out to find that iron as he was ordered. Then the girl begs for a rest, saying she is completely exhausted because they have been trekking through the wilds all day. Now watch this part closely. It is where the tension finally reaches a breaking point. One monster kicks her, threatening to end her if she does not find ore. She promises to stop complaining. The others pile on too, laughing and calling her lazy while they threaten her with a very grim end. Suddenly, our hero snaps, hurling a heavy stone that nails the bully right in the head. Defending his friend, Liam warns them he brought them to find iron, not to fight. He is done with their games. He already explained what to look for. If they want to live, they had better start obeying his every single command. Otherwise, his iron dagger will be the last thing they ever see. The little monsters begin to shake with fear. They back away from her, whispering that he will kill them all. Then they threaten him with the chieftain's wrath once he is finished. You and I both know the chieftain won't play fair, and Liam realizes it too. Even if he finishes the task, his time is running out. He looks at Alara and suddenly remembers an old legend. If a male goblin mates with his own kind, he becomes a divine legend. Seeing her shaking, he tells her not to cry anymore. He steps closer to steady her, cupping Alara's face and asking if she truly wants to stay by his side. If she agrees, he will provide food, warmth, and safety from every attack. He is fully determined to grow his strength now. He keeps his word, but they are both too weak to fight. He needs her help if he is going to get stronger. Alara, desperate to escape the abuse of those horrible little monsters, asks exactly how they could ever gain such massive power. Liam explains that having children together will boost his strength, allowing him to finally fulfill his promise to protect her from harm. Blushing and confused, Alara admits she has never been with a male before. Liam tries his best to reassure her. If she agrees, she has nothing to worry about. He will handle the rest. Then something totally unexpected happens. Liam leans in and kisses Alara, taking her hands as if they are starting some kind of gentle, playful game. Wanting her friend to gain more power, Alara begs Liam to let her carry his children. As they unite, his internal system reveals they will have 7 children, which will shatter his current power limits and his level cap. His stats explode: 9 extra attack, 100 health, and 10 defense. Liam's entire physical form begins to shift and evolve completely. After the upgrades are finished, he surveys his new legendary strength. Now muscular and powerful, he realizes his body evolved, giving them a real chance to finally defeat the goblin high priest. He tears off his cramped clothes and comforts Alara. She belongs to him now, and he will protect her just like he promised. Alara gazes at him with love and calls him truly kind. Suddenly, screams erupt. A massive frost wolf bursts out, lunging at a goblin who is desperately clutching a piece of ore in his arms. Liam is shocked they actually found iron, but they found a whole lot of trouble too. Keeping his word, he tells Alara to wait while he charges the beast before it devours the terrified and helpless scavenger. Liam lunges forward. With his dagger and new raw power, he slits the wolf's neck, saving the goblin who is holding the ore. The little monster just freezes there, staring in absolute panic. Liam drops the wolf with one brutal strike, absorbing its magical essence as the beast hits the cold ground. He praises the goblin for the find, confirms the iron is high quality, and demands they search for even more material. Once they finish, the smithing begins. With the ore gathered, the group finally marches back toward the safety of the village. Back at the camp, the tribe is stunned to see that Liam actually forged a working weapon out of real iron. Our hero gives a deadly demonstration, showing how his new creation can easily bring down even the fiercest of wild beasts. And that is just the start. Trust me, you and I won't want to miss what Liam does next. He presents the spear to the chief. All right, you and I are about to see how Lucas returns to the tribe as a beast after slaying a magic wolf. To win their trust, Lucas lifts the iron spear and asks the goblins if they desire weapons of such immense power. They all roar in agreement, but the chieftain looks visibly shaken by the boys' sudden success and growing influence. Now pay attention, as the chieftain slams his staff down and the elder admits Lucas actually told the truth. The leader praises him for forging iron, but you can tell he is already planning something sinister for our hero. To prove Lucas is no savior, the chieftain demands he forge 50 more spears in just 2 days or leave forever. It is a total death sentence, requiring an almost impossible amount of labor in such a brutally short window of time. While the tribe whispers about the leader's cruelty, Lucas smiles. His plan to manipulate these monsters is working perfectly. To the chieftain's utter shock, our boy delivers all 50 high-grade spears exactly on schedule without breaking a sweat. The tribe celebrates this miracle, cheering for Lucas as he proves that the impossible is just another day for him. The leader fake praises him, and the elder announces a meat feast to welcome Lucas, sending the goblins into a frenzy. Everything is falling into place exactly as our hero planned. During the celebratory feast, Lyra hands Lucas a special piece of roasted meat, claiming it is a sacred offering from the elder. Lucas accepts the peace offering and begins to eat, but things take a dark turn almost immediately. He suddenly starts choking, gasping for air as the poison takes hold, leaving Lyra terrified for his life. The chieftain looms over them with a wicked sneer, mocking Lucas for being stupid enough to trust a monster's kindness. He screams that Lucas was too ambitious, and that challenging his crown would only ever result in a cold grave. The chieftain grabs Lyra by the head, convinced Lucas is too weak to protect her, while the elder asks if he loves her. Since Lucas cares for her, the leader decides he should watch the traitor's throat get slit as a final lesson. He is determined to turn her into a bloody example, so no one ever dares to defy his rule again. It looks like Lyra's end has come right here in front of those sharp and deadly claws. Suddenly, Lucas stands up and strikes the chieftain's arm with blinding speed and power. Everyone freezes as the leader turns pale, wondering how a man supposedly weakened by poison could move with such lethal precision. Lucas laughs coldly, mocking the old man's stupidity. I know what you're thinking, but Lucas saw this coming miles away and only faked being poisoned to bait the trap. Realizing he has been played like a fool, the one-armed chieftain explodes in a desperate, murderous rage. The leader charges, but Lucas is too fast, slipping past the clumsy attack and landing another devastating strike. The mighty chieftain is finally at the end of his rope. Lucas draws his razor-sharp dagger and finishes the job, decapitating the treacherous rat in one clean motion. Just like that, the old tyrant's reign of terror is over. With their leader decapitated, the goblins panic while Lucas steps toward them, their fear rising with every single step he takes. He declares that he is the new master of the tribe, and his word is now the only law. He commands them to prepare for war, promising to lead them against the elves and the human kingdoms. Raising his blood-stained blade, he promises they will feast on meat forever if they swear total loyalty to him. Lucas points at the dead chieftain and offers the corpse to his new soldiers as a celebratory meal. The starving monsters swarm the body, devouring their former leader while Lucas watches with cold, calculating eyes. Taking the tribe was just the first step in his grand, bloody quest for vengeance. His next goal, forcing the elves to breed a stronger generation of warriors for his growing army. However, a beautiful elven spy is watching from the shadows, absolutely horrified by the carnage she just witnessed. Nearby, elven outposts display the bodies of goblins as a grim warning to any who dare enter their woods. The spy is actually a princess, and she rushes back to her village with an urgent, terrifying report. She pushes open the door to her mother's royal chambers. She says she has something important to report about the magical forest and walks into something she did not expect. Princess Calith finds the queen surrounded by male courtiers, leaving her mortified to catch her mother fooling around while danger closes in. You and I will have to wait and see what the queen says to justify this during such a crisis. Princess Alara repeats her warning. She has vital news about the monster tribes lurking in the great forest. Arrogant and cold, the queen just laughs it off. Why should she care about weak, filthy vermin? Alara explains they found a massive black bear slaughtered in the woods, and there is no way mere monsters did this alone. She mentions seeing their old chieftain taken out by a mysterious young man a few days ago, and wonders if there is a connection, but the queen only cares that a new leader has risen. The queen orders her daughter to take a troop of knights and thin out the threat, but warns her not to kill every last one. While stroking a servant's hair, the stunning queen explains that monster hearts are vital for the kingdom's secret potions. Alara, burning with sheer embarrassment, says she understands why some of the beasts must be kept alive. The wicked queen then offers her daughter a male servant as a reward for her hard work, telling her she can take even more if she likes. Completely flustered, Alara rushes out, promising to investigate under the cover of night and report back. Deep in the woods, the horde prepares their strike. Using branches for markers, they map out the elven village and its 30 treehouses. Pleased with the work, our leader tells his best warrior that once they conquer the knights, he will get 2 elven women as a prize. The soldier practically shakes with greed. Fired up by the promise, the right-hand man rushes to get the weaponry ready for battle. Calculations begin. With 70 enemies total and 10 working the mines, the strategy starts taking shape. To strengthen his people, he declares they will now hunt the deadliest creatures in the enchanted woods. The horde erupts in cheers. Hunting allows the main character to boost his stats, gaining insane speed and a massive list of new skills. The tribe starts growing much stronger within the magical forest. Without rest, Lua and our hero hunt down monsters, stacking abilities and increasing their raw power. The pack starts using group tactics to bring down massive beasts and share the experience gains. Using their Devour skill, they reach level 18 with a total power of 250. He realizes each elf knight only has about 200 strength. This means the tribes combined might has already surpassed the entire elven force. But he is playing it safe. He uses his system to simulate the coming siege and study every possible outcome. Watch this carefully, because even a genius can make a fatal mistake. The simulation begins as he leads his powered-up army toward the elves. Convinced victory is certain, his overconfidence leads the monsters straight into a deadly ambush. They are trapped and slaughtered. Our hero is captured by the matriarch and hanged as a warning to any who dare enter her woods. Long story short, the system warns him that he only thought he was in control. In reality, he had walked right into their hands. He cannot believe the outcome. Now, you and I both know something was off. He realizes they were being watched the entire time, allowing the elves to set the trap. Strategic. The leader tells the tribe to sharpen their senses. These monsters have keen hearing and smell, so focus on the clues. Soon, he picks up a trail hidden in the thicket. Using his magic, our boy spots the spy behind a tree. Under the moonlight, the girl has no idea she has been found. The princess and her soldiers retreat fast, desperate to warn the queen about the impending invasion. Then, glowing arrows fly through the air. One of them nails the princess right in the backside. Ilara screams in shock, unable to believe she has been caught before falling to the ground. She panics as paralysis sets in from the arrow, the same fate as her fallen soldiers. While the horde cheers for the direct hit, but our hero worries if the prisoner is reacting strangely to the poison. Mockingly, he tells the princess he never expected capturing her would be this simple. The plan is going perfectly. He tells Ilara that she arrived at the exact right moment for his goals. The new chieftain orders his men to drag all the prisoners back to their camp. Back home, they throw water on the exhausted princess. Ilara looks completely broken and drained. As he approaches, he explains that their special venom has a dual effect on females: paralysis and intense arousal. This gives them the edge against the matriarchy. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see what happens next. The princess demands to know how these filthy beasts dare imprison her, while planning to destroy the elven kingdom. All right, you and I are about to see what happens when an arrogant elven princess meets her match. Arthur just laughs, mocking her confidence with a sarcastic smirk. This princess has no idea what's coming. He throws Catherine to the ground, finding her talk of mercy hilarious. She just won't shut up about it. Arthur tells her the noble elves she describes, and the ones his spies report aren't the same people at all. Her knights are idiots, but they don't lie. He knows her house could have cleared this forest years ago, and he's not buying this mercy act. Arthur's already won. He tells the princess to save her breath for the long night ahead. Tonight, the Hollowkin march on the elven citadel to uncover the dark truth for themselves. Our hero tells his soldiers to split the captives and drain their power to strengthen their own dark magic. The commander of the small beasts looks at Catherine, asking what Arthur plans to do with her. Now watch this. Catherine starts begging for her life, terrified of becoming the next victim of the rising god. After subduing the princess, Arthur's stats skyrocket. Meanwhile, back at the citadel, the High Queen is looking for excitement. Her knights beg for mercy, saying they've run out of the elixirs needed to keep up with her demands. The wicked queen snaps back, regretting they didn't capture more Hollowkin during their last hunt for fresh meat. Her exhausted guards stumble in after serving her whims, and she asks where Catherine is. One reports she's still missing. That soldier asks the High Queen if they should hunt for her daughter and use the chance to slaughter more monsters. Worried, the queen agrees. She'll send a battalion to back up Catherine against the tribe of little monsters. Suddenly, a voice echoes that the princess isn't coming back. Terrified, the queen looks up as Arthur emerges and fires. A royal guard takes an arrow straight through the skull. The queen barely manages to catch the next one. Arthur arrives with reinforcements. Arthur tells her Catherine is his now. With a smirk, he suggests that from now on, they're all one big family. The queen draws her blade, refusing to surrender. She demands to know exactly what he did to her daughter. He just mocks her again. Furious, she charges forward, swearing she will end his life right here. Arthur dodges easily. He warns her that her citadel is surrounded, and surrendering now might be her only hope. The stunning queen freezes in place. Arthur explains that his arrow was coated in a special paralyzing toxin designed specifically to drop elves. He tells her to stay still. In that moment, the desperate queen realizes she's been completely outplayed. Arthur mentions her talk of enhancements and excitement tonics. He knows exactly what the elves were planning for his people. Staring at his blade, the queen realizes this is the new monster King Catherine warned her about, the one she ignored. She flinches as the screams of her subjects echo through the halls of her great palace. Now pay attention here. Arthur drags the queen to the window to show her the chaos, proving he's not kidding before demanding they talk. The High Queen can't believe the carnage happening outside her royal chambers. The elves scream for their mother to save them as they're hauled away by the victorious Holokin forces. Alara grows more desperate by the second. Furious, she demands to know what they've done to her beautiful city. Arthur says the monsters aren't weak anymore. He reminds her that when the elves held the power, they were ruthless. They tried to wipe his kind out, so it's only natural his people want their bloody revenge now. Arthur needs more powerful warriors, and for that, he still has a very specific use for the elves. As for their fate, well, he says that all depends on the High Queen's cooperation from here on out. The wicked queen finally breaks, kneeling before Arthur and begging for the lives of her children and her people. She agrees to stay and let her people merge with the Holokin to create a stronger race. Back at the monster village, Catherine is absolutely devastated to see that even her mother has been captured. The queen apologizes to her daughter for being too arrogant to believe they could ever be defeated. She tells her that only the defenseless women and children are left now to preserve the elven bloodline. Every single girl has been taken. Trying to calm her, the queen says their only hope for survival now is within the Holokin tribe. And that's where we leave it. Arthur promises to care for them all, 3 meals a day included. Wild, right? All right, you and I are about to see just how ruthless Alaric can be when his family is threatened. Understanding the stakes, the lady matriarch nods. Then, the queen turns to Alaric with a final, desperate plea. She looks at her people as her own flesh and blood, begging him to protect their future. Just then, Lyra arrives, swamped by a sea of elven and goblin infants. Alaric realizes the queen is driven by that infinite maternal instinct. Lyra calls out for her lord, exhausted from trying to manage all these screaming newborns on her own. So, Alaric agrees to the request, placing the elven children under the watchful eye of the matriarch. He knows these infants will grow into a massive powerhouse for the kingdom one day. Eager to climb higher, our protagonist opens his inner status screen to see where he stands. Looking at the numbers, Alaric wonders if he has hit his peak, since every point earned now turns directly into raw power. He concludes that to skyrocket his power, he simply needs to expand his bloodline further. Surveying the camp, he sees everything moving exactly according to plan. Watch closely. Alaric feels strong enough to finally finish off Count Lotyr. Day by day, more elven infants with goblin features begin to fill the nursery. But the elven mothers are horrified by what they have birthed, begging the guards to take the little monsters away. Alaric asks Lyra for a total head count, and she reports over 40 new births. But then, Princess Catherine appears, screaming out in agony. Alaric freezes. That is his child she is carrying. He rushes to her side as the princess enters hard labor. The queen grabs her daughter's hand, begging the princess not to give up now. Terrified for her first grandchild, the matriarch pleads with Alaric to help, knowing Catherine has never done this before. Alaric is genuinely worried for them both. He takes charge immediately, telling Lyra to prepare the princess for the delivery. Seeing him step in, the matriarch asks with a trembling voice if he actually knows anything about birthing a child. He claims he knows enough to get by, but Catherine snaps back, refusing to let him even touch her. Annoyed, Alaric tells her to be quiet, reminding her the child is his too. He finishes the delivery, ensuring the princess is safe. Lyra praises his quick thinking for saving Catherine's life, but Alaric just shrugs it off like it was nothing special. You and I saw that coming, right? But the peace doesn't last, as screams erupt from the cages down the hall. Something is very wrong. Dagger drawn, Alaric storms the cage with the matriarch. He finds his kin trying to take an exhausted elf by force and roars for them to stop. He warns them to let the females recover or they will pay with their lives. To aid their recovery, he orders a double ration of fruit for every elf, on top of their usual meals. The matriarch is stunned, realizing he is nothing like a typical goblin. Alaric tells her that cooperation brings rewards. Then, He turns back to his oracle to see how his revenge plan looks now. The vision shows him finally winning the complete loyalty of the entire elven tribe. He ensures every elven woman is expecting, leading to a new generation of high-tier hybrid warriors. As the village expands, Alaric decides it is finally time for blood. He sneaks into Silverkeep alone and successfully tracks down Lothir's group. The oracle presents him with 3 distinct paths, each leading to a different outcome and a varying survival score. Alaric questions if he can win. His strength is on par with Lothir's now, but the Count's highly skilled companions are still a massive threat. Trusting his new traits, Alaric ignores the risks and selects the first option from the list. He charges in alone. He nearly lands the killing blow on Lothir, but then the Count's legendary master suddenly appears. This human sword saint saves the Count's life instantly. Alaric is cut down by the legendary warrior, and the group vanishes back to the capital forever. Against a master of that caliber, there is simply no hope of escape. Alaric knows he must be far more cautious from now on. Shocked by the vision, Alaric wonders why a powerhouse like that would be in such a backwater town. He looks at the matriarch and realizes he needs to hit his maximum power level immediately if he wants to survive. With no other choice left, he decides it is time to move. Alaric tells Lyra he is heading into human lands for a few days, leaving her in charge. The queen immediately worries he won't make it back. He reminds the matriarch of his history with humans, but then she surprisingly offers to cast a powerful stealth spell on him. Grinning, Alaric tells her that is exactly the kind of help he was looking for. And trust me, you and I can tell he never expected her to actually care about his safety. She claims she is only worried that if he falls, her people will be left under a leaderless goblin horde. All right, you and I are diving into a story where a queen's plea starts it all, begging our hero to return so her people stay safe. Lady Alara and the matriarch promise to guard the village while Arthur sets off. Soon, he reaches the bustling streets of the grand city, Brighton. Knights in shining armor patrol every corner with steady eyes. It looks like the entire city is under a total security lockdown. Seeing this many troops, Arthur wonders if the legendary Blade Saintess has already arrived in the capital. But despite digging for info all day, he hasn't heard a single whisper about her. Still, all these patrols, something feels very off. Arthur notices a massive crowd gathering nearby. He follows and finds them staring at a leaderboard showing the top-ranked night parties in Brighton. Sila's is sitting right at the top. Arthur's eyes narrow. Could that arrogant snake really have gotten stronger just by ranking first? Either way, he knows there's no time to waste. Without more clues, his entire plan for revenge is going to fall apart. Passing a local tavern, he hears a loud voice promising free ale for everyone, bragging they'll drink until the barrels run dry. Arthur freezes. He knows that obnoxious voice. He steps inside to find Sila's drinking like he hasn't a single care in the world. One of Sila's cronies starts singing his praises loudly. He brags about how Sila's and Alara saved him from a 4-armed simian, while the girl gushes over how incredible their captain is. Then a knight from the Iron Guard scoffs, calling it ridiculous to brag about slaying such a weak, pathetic little monster. Silas's friend snaps back in a rage, telling the man to get lost and stop talking absolute nonsense. Now pay attention here. The Iron Guard knight mocks them further, until the tavern owner finally snaps and loses his patience. He shouts that the drakes are in season and have been snatching cattle by the dozens. He tells them if they're so tough, they should go stop the beasts. That catches Arthur's interest while he sips his drink in silence. If the drakes attack Brighton and the king doesn't send reinforcements, the city is basically doomed. The local knights won't be able to stop the horde. Darkness is coming for them all, but Silas stands up, looking confident. He claims there's nothing to fear because his master, the Blade Saintess, is coming. Together, they'll slaughter every single drake in their path. The tavern falls silent. Every warrior stares in shock, stunned that Silas could actually summon such a powerful legend. Then the room erupts in cheers, everyone praising Silas. saying he'll surely be named the savior of the city after this. Silas shouts that the ale is on him to celebrate the Saintess's arrival and the total destruction of the Drake horde. Arthur realizes this is his opening. If the beasts attack the city, he can use the absolute chaos to finally strike. He turns to leave, but Silas notices him walking out despite the offer of free drinks for everyone. Silas calls out, asking if Arthur isn't staying for a pint. Arthur doesn't even slow down, just a cold, direct no. He tells Silas there will be other chances later. Silas just frowns, confused why anyone would ever turn down free ale. Brighton is decorated from wall to wall, eagerly awaiting the arrival of the legendary Blade Saintess. You and I both know what's coming. Silas finds his master meditating in a temple and reports that the Drakes are closing in fast. At his words, the Saintess grips her blade and rises. She asks about his progress, and Silas confirms that 10 massive Drake-hunting ballistas have been built exactly as she ordered. She warns him that if even one thing goes wrong, his entire reputation will be on the chopping block. As they leave the temple, a crowd gathers. The people can't believe they're standing before someone so majestic and powerful. Thinking ahead, the Saintess tells Silas that this is a truly special moment. She demands to know why they're just standing around, ordering everyone to prepare for war. And right on cue, something approaches. A massive flying beast appears, clutching a villager in its talons as the streets explode in panic. The Saintess's eyes sharpen. That's a scout Drake. She knows that once they appear, the entire horde is usually following right behind them. She orders Silas to gather his team and head for the city walls. Meanwhile, a goblin servant rushes to Arthur, announcing the Drake's arrival. The little creature reports that the walls are crowded with terrified soldiers who have no idea what they should do next. Cold and calculating, Arthur says the time to strike is near. The enemy is almost here, so for now they wait. Like a true strategist, Arthur and his loyal goblin followers decide to sit back and simply enjoy the opening show. Dozens of Drakes dive toward the city, but a sudden beam of light slams into one, tearing right through its wing. Silas and Alara stare in total shock at the power of those weapons. After taking down a Drake and demonstrating the crossbow's power, the Saintess asks a soldier if he finally understands how to use it. And that's where we leave it. The soldiers open fire, and trust me, you and I are about to see those Drakes fall. Stick with me, the knights are cheering because their weapons actually work against dragons. But then, everyone freezes. Something monstrously powerful is nearing the citadel. People are collapsing, clutching their heads in pure agony. Alaric and Alara turn pale as ghosts. They know what's coming. Then, the golden-purple matriarch finally arrives. The soldiers freeze, whispering that their ballistas won't be enough. Every eye is locked on the city gates. The beast is livid. The matriarch draws breath for a killing blow, then unleashes a sea of fire. The crossbowmen break rank and flee in terror, screaming that the city is lost. Total chaos has erupted. But wait, a massive magic circle erupts. A calm voice tells the retreating army not to panic. The Saintess steps forward, declaring she'll face the beast alone while the rest hold the line at the walls. Watch closely. She raises her sword, creating a barrier that doesn't just block the dragon's flames. It halts every flying beast in its tracks. High on the mountain, Lishan watches, waiting for his perfect moment. He isn't shocked the Saintess can tank those flames. He knew exactly what she was capable of. Her stats are insane. Still, he's impressed by the raw, immediate power the matriarch displayed during the ambush. Lishan analyzes her stats and finally sees how she shrugged off that dragon fire so effortlessly. He admits that Alaric's mentor is terrifyingly strong. He feels relieved he won't have to face her directly for his revenge. The dragon might be weaker than the Saintess, but her endurance is on another level entirely. Even if Lady Isabella lands a few solid hits, taking down a beast that size won't be easy. Since the Saintess is occupied, Lishan realizes this is the golden opportunity he's been dying for. Revenge on humanity is finally within reach. He orders the goblin horde to execute the plan and infiltrate the city's underbelly immediately. While dragons lay waste to the capital, nobody realizes an even darker threat is creeping in from behind. Alaric finds the flying drakes tough to handle, but he's grateful for the brutal lessons his mentor taught him. He claims his training made him a true dragon slayer. But then, a villager sprints up, screaming that a goblin horde has breached the walls. While fighting off drakes, Alaric scoffs. He knows goblins are stupid, but surely they aren't dumb enough to raid the capital itself. Suddenly, a woman runs past with a pack of goblins right on her heels. Seeing the green monsters with his own eyes, you and I know he's in trouble now. Like a hero, Alaric sends his team after the dragons while he and Freya hunt the goblins. One small monster spots our heroes and immediately bolts for cover. Alaric roars at them to stay, but the escape was a trap. Just like that, Alaric and Freya are snagged by the goblins. Everything is going exactly as Lishan planned. His friends try to rescue him, but the overwhelming goblin numbers keep them pushed back. Then, out of the shadows, a vengeful Lishan appears without anyone noticing. In the heat of the clash, Alaric tries to scream a warning about the assassin behind them. Before they can react, Lishan carves through two knights like butter with his razor-sharp dagger. Alaric and the Saintess watch in horror as a single goblin dismantles their elite warriors with such terrifying agility. Lishan strolls over, mocking his prisoners. He can't believe the great heroes were taken down this easily. Furious at his fallen men, Alaric vows to wipe every last one of these filthy monsters off the map. Lishan shuts him up with a kick, telling him to look around and stop talking nonsense. He commands the goblins to drag Alaric and Alara through the sewers and out of the city, while the rest follow him to finish off the riders. Meanwhile, in the middle of the fight against the matriarch, the Saintess hears the screams for help from the capital and can't believe the timing. The massive shadowy beast mocks her, sneering that her people are finally in real trouble. The matriarch and the Saintess clash in a relentless duel, with our hero mocking the Queen of Dragons as she strikes. Lady Isabella asks the beast if she's struggling yet. Then she slams her with crushing force, pinning the dragon in a desperate spot. Asserting her dominance, the Saintess declares the matriarch is already beaten. She wonders if her warriors cleared out the goblins and dragons, just as a massive explosion rocks the wall. The city's chaos distracts her. The dragon, who is moments from death, laughs that her little green ally showed up at the perfect time. Seeing her enemy is distracted, the Dragon Queen retreats as fast as she can. As she flees, the matriarch vows revenge. And trust me, you and I are going to want to see how this bloodbath ends. Lady Seraphina is absolutely livid that she let that massive beast slip through her fingers. You and I are starting this off with a vengeance. She swears to hunt the dragon matriarch to Worm's Isle and end them forever. Once the smoke clears in Highcrest, the Sword Saint lands, disgusted that Captain Alaric's squad failed to clear out simple goblins. A soldier delivers the crushing news. The captain and Saintess Alara have been taken by those vile monsters. Seraphina is stunned. These weren't your average goblins, they were something far more dangerous. A survivor claims these creatures fought with the strength of the high races. Even Captain Alaric didn't stand a single chance against them. Burning with rage and desperate to rescue her knights. Watch this part closely. She's ready to purge the Whispering Woods, but a terrified citizen stops her. They beg her to stay. Without her protection, Highcrest will fall if the monsters launch another attack. The entire crowd pleads for mercy, claiming their rights as citizens of the kingdom and the temple to be defended. Seraphina relents. Duty calls her to guard the city's walls rather than chasing after the fallen hero's party. Deep within the goblin camp, the tribe erupts in cheers for their returning leader. They're shocked to see Lord Kalen dragging high-ranking human nobles back in heavy chains. No mercy here. The Saintess is shoved into the dirt as Kalen's guards warn the prisoners not to cause any more trouble. Alaric's eyes widen as he realizes the goblins have captured elves too. Alara senses a hero among them, but Alaric worries for her health. though she claims her divine blood is already purging the heavy toxins from her system. Hearing her brag about her divinity, Kaylin appears like a shadow, mocking her rapid recovery. Terrified, she demands to know how he knows her name and what he actually wants with them. With a cold, menacing gaze, Kaylin towers over the saintess. Driven by ancient spite, our protagonist sinks his claws into her leg. Her screams of agony echo through the camp. Alaric is forced to watch, helpless and bound. He roars at Kaylin to stop this brutal torture. For raising his voice to the chieftain, the brave Alaric takes a heavy blow from a goblin guard. Alaric snarls with rage, warning that Lady Seraphina will hunt them to the ends of the earth and erase their entire race. Trust me, Kaylin isn't scared. He tells Alaric that his precious master is next on his list. He's just biding his time. She can search all she wants, but she'll never find this hidden sanctuary. Masterminding the future, Kaylin puts his lieutenant in charge of the newest generation, ordering them into the forest to hunt and grow much stronger. Knowing the humans are coming, our lead decides it's time to trigger his evolution and test his limits. Grinding his heel into Alaric's chest, Kaylin asks if he still enjoys torturing innocent goblins like they did to him in his previous life. Alaric just stammers, acting like he has no clue what this kid is talking about. Losing patience, Kaylin decides Alaric is answering far too slowly. Without a second thought, he slices off the captain's ear in one clean move. The captain screams in absolute agony as the blood flows. Spitting blood, Alaric claims his duty is to protect humanity by purging every cursed goblin. Kaylin just laughs at the blatant hypocrisy and mocks his grand claims. He mocks them, knowing they only hunt his kind to farm experience points and boost their own stats. Kaylin spits back that they'd rather slaughter prisoners with the monsters than actually try to save them. He asks how many innocents died for their fake justice. For once, Alaric looks genuinely shaken by the truth. Ilara is trembling. How could a mere goblin know the darkest secrets of the hero's inner circle? Filled with cold fury, Kaylin tells them both that, unlike humans, he doesn't need to hide behind lies. As a monster, he's going to show them true pain. Weak and broken, Ilara begs Alaric to save her. She starts sobbing for mercy. Alaric can only watch in horror as his companion's spirit finally breaks. Kaylin throws her own cruel words back in her face. The nightmare is just beginning. She better hold on. He lifts her by the throat, forcing the captain to witness every single second of her impending torment. Coldly, Kaylin hands Ilara over to his tribe, curious to see how much holy light she has left. Alaric is paralyzed with fear. He's about to watch his friends suffer a fate far worse than death. The goblin swarm begins to close in on the helpless saintess, exactly as their master commanded. And that's where we leave them. The guards have strict orders directly from Kaylin: keep her breathing, no matter what it takes. We see how broken Lady Freya has become after all that torture, yet the guard insists she is alive, just like ordered. Arthur tells his comrade to stay strong. The girl, barely clinging to life, tells her captain not to worry about her suffering. The guard silences the prisoner, shouting he has no right to speak before grinding his boot into his head. Meanwhile, the elven queen, holding her child, asks her daughter if Leo truly hates the human race. The girl warns they are in trouble. Now pay attention to this. Lua steps forward, confirming the boy plans to slaughter every human alive. So yeah, the hatred is real. Completely mesmerized by Leo, the queen notes his sheer determination and how he never lets an insult slide, making him the most unique monster she has ever encountered. The elf blushes, realizing just how much power he truly commands. It feels strange, like she actually wants to be conquered by him. Elsewhere, a scout reports to our main character that the new generation of elven hunters has finally returned to camp. They arrived ahead of schedule, hauling massive amounts of prey on their backs. But check this out. This scout is level 33, with stats nearly matching our heroes. Even the boss is genuinely impressed by that growth. He asks why they are back so soon. Was the hunt really that much of a breeze? The scout says they wiped out the nearby monsters and moved west, where they witnessed giant beasts massacring every other tribe they could find. Our hero asks which Western tribe was being attacked. Another soldier identifies them as the Blood Fang clan. Searching in separate teams, they found several more tribes marked for death. Our main character finds the whole situation quite intriguing. If they capture the leader of these giants, he will be the perfect weapon for the rebellion against the kingdom. The captured captain bursts out laughing, calling them fools for dreaming. The king's knights will crush them in an instant. The hero turns, noting that if the man had not spoken up, he would have forgotten this pathetic human even existed. As the monsters close in, our hero mentions one more human hiding nearby. Trust me, things are about to get intense. Trust me, you and I are about to watch a total nightmare. A goblin grabs Captain Arthur by the face, mocking his soft skin and driving him insane. All right, you and I are diving into a story where the lines between hero and villain are completely blurred. The captain is out cold, face down in the dirt. As night falls, the lead goblin asks Liam about their next target. Liam confirms the plan to crush the rival clan and snatch their leader. He's even rebranded his army as the Crimson Sky Tribe. The monsters go wild, chanting the new name like a war cry. They've finally got an identity, and they're loving the power. The elf captive warns that the next tribe is massive, but our protagonist just shrugs it off. He's not worried at all. Now pay attention, because Liam is playing a very dark game, and poor Evelyn is the one caught in his web. By sunrise, Liam is perched on a ridge with a perfect view of the battlefield. It's time for a live demonstration. He's targeting the Iron Fang clan deep in the Whispering Woods. They've got some heavy hitters, but he's got a solid plan. He spots the leader. Even the goblins look terrified, impressive. This Iron Fang chief is supposedly a legendary hero. Liam sizes him up from afar. Honestly, he doesn't look that tough. A combat level of 900. A few squads should do it, but taking him alive, that's the real challenge. Let's pause and think. Poison won't work on a tank like that. He needs Evelyn's binding magic to truly lock that monster down. He heads back to camp, where a goblin scout reports that the task Liam ordered is finally complete. The trap is set. The human is almost broken. Liam gives the scout a nod of approval. Evelyn is begging for death, praying to the divine for salvation. Liam starts cleaning her wounds with a warm cloth, catching her off guard. She can't see his face yet, but when she finally turns and realizes it's him, she starts screaming in absolute, pure terror. She's trembling, convinced she's losing her mind. To her, he's a demon who only knows how to inflict endless, crushing pain. Liam silences her with a slap before pulling her into a cold embrace. He whispers that the punishment is finally over now. He pulls back, telling her he keeps his word, but now she has a choice. A choice between two very different faiths. Believe in her silent God, or believe in him and become his pet to finally escape this nightmare of constant agony. He strokes her head while she trembles. Evelyn's choice is made. She takes a deep breath and starts licking his fingers in absolute, total submission. And that's how a soul breaks. Dark right. All right, you and I are jumping into a dark fantasy where things get twisted fast. Lord Linton demands obedience, and Olivia actually barks like a loyal pet. He carries her to a warm spring, stripping her bare to wash away the grime and blood of her past life. She is so lost in the comfort that she pledges her soul to him, while he just keeps cleaning his new prize. All right, you and I are about to see Olivia use her legendary holy light imprisonment skill. After her bath, he shows her an ancient tome. She asks if that prison is inside as she begins to pray. Her body floats as sacred power flows through her, and suddenly, a massive cage appears before them. He is stunned by her power. They walk through the prison together. The captain screams for Olivia to kill the intruder and heal his broken body as fast as she can. Our hero just smiles, saying she chose to serve him. The captain refuses to believe it. She is the daughter of the Grand Bishop. A lady of her status would never surrender. Arthur commands her to kneel and confess. She is doing all of this of her own free will. She obeys instantly, kneeling with a smile. The captain watches in absolute despair. He clings to the bars, drooling with pure rage. He swears Arthur and his actions will make the goblin race vanish from the world. Their only purpose is to be hunted by humans. The Holy Church will wipe them all out. Arthur didn't know her true identity, so he thanks the captain for the information and lets his goblins have their fun with him. He calls for Olivia and tells her to leave. Now, it was time to handle some other business. Stick with me, we're heading to conquer the Blood-Prey tribe. At their camp, a goblin scout reports that everything is finally ready for war. Shaking with malice, the chieftain orders an attack on the southern elves to capture them as prizes for their amusement. The goblins howl, celebrating their leader's dark power. A scout screams that an intruder is here. The chief turns, sneering at the lowly goblin who dared to show his face. Arthur steps forward, claiming to be a heroic-level blood-prey goblin with human intelligence who just wants to talk. The others mutter that he must be a freakish mutant. He tells them he is just a bit smarter than normal goblins. He is the leader of the Mad Sky tribe, and he is taking their chief with him whether they like it or not. They have two choices, bow down or die right here. The chief asks if he is from the elf-breeding tribe. Our hero admires his strong bloodline and tells him to come along. The enemy commander calls him a fool. He grabs our hero's entire head with one hand, lifting him high while gloating. He did not expect him to walk right into his trap. Once he finishes him, the whole tribe will be his. The goblins roar for blood. Arthur doesn't even blink. Talking is over. If he didn't need the chief alive for his plans, he would have been dead already. With a sudden strike, our hero slices the chief's hand clean off. The chief screams in despair, ordering his men to tear the intruder apart. They all charge in for revenge. Arthur snaps his fingers. Suddenly, a blade pierces through an enemy goblin's chest. The Mad Sky warriors appear, dropping their invisibility magic. The enemy goblins scream in confusion. Silent steps, the servant whispers, before finally ordering the slaughter. Total chaos erupts as warrior goblins swarm the camp. The Blood-Prey tribe is being dismantled by the chief's order. Now you saw this coming, right? The negotiation was just a clever trap to keep their eyes distracted and exposed. Realizing his men were no match, the chief tries to run, but turns back for one desperate punch, screaming that he has to kill our hero first. He just stands there and calls out, "Olivia." She casts her spell, and a glowing cage snaps shut, trapping the heroic goblin instantly. He is stunned. Goblins can't use light magic. Then he sees something even more shocking. Olivia kneels at his feet, calling him master. He praises his good girl, noting she's grown stronger since joining his side. She smiles in thanks. The heroic goblin is left chained in light magic, cursed to spend his days as a breeder. Back at the camp, the rival chief is bound to a rock. Taming him took effort. He wipes his blade clean. The threat has been neutralized for good now. The captain is impressed they captured a hero. Arthur turns to speak with Lua. He tells her to let the others handle the heavy lifting for the breeding program, while she acts as the sole supervisor. He hands Olivia over to Lua for safekeeping, then asks the elf queen to help him prepare, because he is going to meet a very important friend. Trust me, you're going to want to see who this important friend is. Listen, you and I are about to see if Lua's arrogance just doomed them all to a royal invasion. It was time to visit the dragon matriarch. Her island was 60 miles away, and the fastest way there was to lure a beast to him. Linton left slaughtered oxen on the shore. With the scent of blood filling the air, a dragon would be there any second. He climbed inside a carcass to hide, just like a knight seeking warmth in a frozen wasteland. The beast dives, snatches the bait, and flies toward the island at full speed. Upon landing, it tosses the massive carcasses straight down into a dark pit. They hit the floor with a thud. Somehow, our hero survives the impact without becoming a pile of broken bones. Crawling out, he sees the dragons share their kills. Now, all he has to do is track down the matriarch herself. A voice behind him complains about something strange in the meat, sending a chill right down his spine. A purple dragon emerges, recognizing him as the goblin chieftain who led the raid on the holy village last week. Why was he trespassing? Did he think he was off the menu? Linton quickly tells her to hold on a moment. He offers a bargain. Amused by a tiny goblin proposing a deal, the dragon begins shifting her massive body into a beautiful human form. She purrs that if the offer is good enough, she might just skip her lunch today. He knows she wants vengeance on the Sword Saint. He suggests an alliance as a return favor for her recent escape. She is shocked that a mere goblin would challenge the kingdom's greatest warrior. Her curiosity is definitely piqued. Towering over him, she asks how he intends to kill that woman. Stick with me, because his answer is surprisingly simple. Send dragons to raid the holy village periodically. She frowns, wondering what his band of goblins would actually contribute. What could small monsters do against a legendary knight? She demands to know the rest of his plan. Tilting his chin up, she warns that a direct assault is suicide. He replies that they must break her mind instead. Destroying her spirit is the key to victory. The matriarch lets out a dark laugh as she understands his strategy. Using goblins as pawns to avoid losing her own kin sounds perfect. Linton asks if they have an agreement. She agrees, admitting she never expected to find a monster this brilliant. The more she watches him, the more she is intrigued. Licking her lips, she offers a reward. Linton freezes, suddenly remembering that it is currently mating season for dragons. She sighs, realizing he is far too small for her needs. Instead, she decides to grant him a different gift. She looks at the horizon and wonders which prize to pick. At the chieftain's camp, Loder is bound to a cross surrounded by armed guards. He's been hanging there for ages, yet the knights still haven't come. We can both tell he's reaching his breaking point, but he has absolutely no clue how to escape. He realizes goblins are short. If he can just reach high ground, he might actually have a shot at freedom. Then, pure horror strikes. A dragon is circling right above him. He screams at the goblins to release him immediately because he does not want to be roasted alive by fire breath. The monsters panic as well. An elf asks how it found them, while another points out a rider on its back. The beast touches down before the crowd. Sitting proudly on its back is none other than our favorite goblin chief. He dismounts, lowers his hood, and announces his return. As the tribe watches in shock, he commands the dragon to stay put. The tribe goes wild, cheering Linton's name. They begin celebrating their leader's unbelievable achievement with pure joy. Loder is speechless. Is that thing really just a goblin? He desperately prays for the knights to rescue him soon. In the capital, knights gather at the city's center. They bow to Lady 𝒕𝒂𝒕𝒔, but she tells them to forget formalities because their time is running out. They need a rescue mission, and they need it right now. The system alerts Linton to a new story path with 3 choices: hunt monsters, grow the tribe, or skip ahead 1 full month. He realizes the skip protects him from the Sword Saint's wrath for a while. Without hesitation, he chooses the third option. He earns 20 points as time accelerates. The system notes the Shadow Woods will no longer grant him any more experience. With 20 points secured, his score is multiplied by 20 as the world fast-forwards through an entire month of time. Linton finally wakes up, and the system confirms that the long wait is officially over. Rising from bed, he ponders the strange sensation of skipping time. The system congratulates him for hitting level 50 with a total score of 1,000. His stats spiked, but his actual combat power remained the same. Lua bursts in, screaming that the newborn goblins have all perished. Devastated by the news, he rushes out with her to see the tragedy. The elves cradle the tiny, lifeless bodies, sobbing uncontrollably. Horrified, Linton demands to know exactly how this could have happened. You and I can feel his pain as he begs for answers, but she has no idea what went wrong. Stick with me. You are about to watch Alaric turn a dying tribe of 3 weaklings into the most powerful army this fantasy world has ever seen. Alaric realized right then, that this noble traitor knew exactly why the newborns were dying off. Lothar sneered that high-level lords cannot breed survivors. You cannot conquer the world with a simple reproduction skill, after all. Alaric thanked the Lord for the intel, even if it was far too late to save his sorry hide. He turned away, handing the traitor to the goblins with one simple order: do not finish him off too quickly. The tribe grinned in hunger. Lothar screamed, cursing Alaric's name and vowing to return as a vengeful spirit from hell. Training heroes from scratch was impossible now, but they needed elite warriors to face the legendary Saint of Blades. Without a miracle, they were doomed. Alaric desperately searched for a way to evolve his kin instantly. Just then, the great dragon landed. She approached like a curious cat, rubbing against Alaric while he wondered what was happening. The dragon was shifting forms, while deep in her heat cycle. This was a rare chance. Her transformation finished, revealing her true, breathtakingly special human state. Now watch this. The final gift left by the mother dragon is about to get very personal for Alaric. She lunged, pinning him to the forest floor. With a lustful gaze, she straddled his lap and slowly licked her lips. The system pinged, a new achievement unlocked. His stats were suddenly exploding through the roof. Alaric breathed heavily after the dragon's intense growth ritual. She was relentless and starving for more, so this was a dragon's true power. He was already becoming a legend. Usually, dragon blood was enough, but she insisted on this intimate method of leveling. She loomed behind him again, eyes blazing, whispering that she wasn't nearly finished with him yet. He yelled out in panic, telling her she had work to do first. She needed to share her blood with the goblins before returning to him. She charged the tribe with wild fury, leaving the confused goblins in total panic. It looked like a slaughter. By nightfall, the survivors gathered around a flickering campfire in silence. The dragon's blood forced a massive evolution, but they could go further. Alaric rested against the sleeping dragon's massive, warm paws. He stared at his trembling hands, completely stunned by the raw power coursing through him. Every goblin had reached the hero class, yet their total strength still felt lacking against the coming holy knights. It was time to arm up. He commanded the system to open the shop. To lead this hero tribe, he needed absolute authority and power. He had 180 points saved, more than enough to buy some high-grade professional gear from the shop. He found an elemental crossbow that could absorb magic and fire, deadly infused bolts. It was compact and lethal. Next, he saw a skill called Unarmed Parry, allowing him to deflect 3 attacks. It cost 80 points. This was a life-saving technique, perfect for a final duel against the Saint of Blades. He decided to buy them both. You and I both know what is coming. With the gear in his inventory, Alaric is finally ready to test these new toys on someone very unfortunate. He needed a live target immediately. Then he spotted Lothar and called him over. Lothar looked terrified, knowing exactly what was coming. Alaric told him he was the perfect training dummy. Lothar begged to know his fate, but it was too late. Just like that, he became the first to feel the true might of a heroic alpha. Somewhere deep in the Whispering Woods, a human witch screamed for help. Her partner just scoffed, saying low-level pests were boring. She only cared about hunting dragons with Roland. A third knight laughed, claiming the mother dragon was too risky, and this current job was easy. He told them not to waste the lead Lothar gave them. Suddenly, the witch froze, spotting something dangerous moving in the shadows. They drew their steel. A massive shadow spider dropped down, and the battle began. While the witch trembled, the archer fired a perfect shot through the monster's skull and shrugged it off like nothing. It was only a level 3 insect, no big deal, but the warrior told them to stay sharp. Something else was charging in. A massive heroic goblin emerged, and they realized they'd found the tribal leader. He was easy to find. The adventurers gripped their weapons, already tasting an easy victory. All the glory would be theirs. The warrior ordered a full charge, telling his team to provide cover fire as the beast let out a roar. One knight stepped forward, asking the captain to let him handle this heroic kill alone. They had slain many runts, but this was his first heroic species kill. And trust me, you and I need to see what happens next. Stick with me. You're about to see a knight realize he's way out of his league. The man raised his spear. He threw the weapon directly at the monster's chest, shouting for it to fall. But in that second, the entire battlefield froze. The beast caught the spear like it was nothing and stared them down. How was that even possible? The creature wound up and launched it back. The captain screamed to raise shields, but the impact caused a massive explosion. The blast threw them back. The steel shield was ripped open right through the center. They stood there, utterly paralyzed. Brute force alone had nearly shattered their defense. If it was a physical brawler, they needed range. The archer took her aim. One arrow would end this. Her aim was perfect, or so she believed. Suddenly, a clawed hand punched right through her stomach. She looked back in terror and saw a second monster laughing. An assassin. The archer collapsed into the dirt, life fading fast. The swordsman roared for them to hold the line and pull the wounded girl into the center of their formation. Then the sorceress shrieked for the captain to look. He turned around only to see monsters of all ranks closing in from every side. Deep in the woods, another scream for help rang out. Only this time, it wasn't just a trap for them. This time, it was their own voices begging for mercy. The horde celebrated. The humans were finally theirs to break. One scavenger claimed the sorceress for himself, but another blocked his path. Everything captured belonged to the tribe, no exceptions allowed. Their chief had ordered the humans taken alive, but one had escaped, and he deserved nothing. The massive four-armed beast roared back. Now pay attention. This is where it gets interesting as the power struggle begins. They had slaughtered enough humans. The creature started to rebel, shouting that the strongest should lead. He wanted the tribe to follow his commands instead. One grunt said the big brother was the strongest, so they'd follow him. He glanced at his reflection and decided they'd take the loot back first. Back at the camp, news spread quickly that their champion heroes had finally returned victoriously. They had captured several nobles. Incredible. Their leader was named General Titus. Our hero sat there, watching in silence. An elf girl beside him, visibly shaking, asked if he could still control them. The four-armed monster hoisted the captain up high. That man was his prize, and he planned to feast. Lord Julian stepped forward and told him to release the man immediately. The human had intel Julian needed. The beast looked down, sneering at his size, and let out a disgusting, jagged grin. If Julian wanted the prisoner, he would have to trade one of his women. The ladies flinched, absolutely terrified. Julian raised his hand to stop him. His eyes burned with a cold rage as he asked if the beast even understood his own words. Julian was their rightful leader. The four-armed one turned, pointed at a red-haired beast, and called out to his comrade, Thorn. He claimed Thorn was stronger than their lord, so they would follow him now. Julian asked if Thorn was the one behind it. He said if the redhead could defeat the four-armed beast, he would offer him mercy. The giant beast burst out laughing, claiming Thorn would never bow to a weakling like Julian. You and I both know what happens when someone gets this arrogant. Suddenly, a giant hand clamped onto the beast's head. By the time he realized it, Thorn was the one holding him. He tried to speak, but red spray exploded everywhere. Both the hero and the elf girl stared in shock. The four-armed rebel lay dead, while the other monsters backed away in fear. The redhead bowed to Lord Julian and explained that ever since his latest evolution, he had started to understand the world much better. He wasn't some arrogant fool. He respected strength, but he also valued loyalty. He called Julian his father and said he had defeated the previous chief to lead. Now, he wanted to test his own limits. He was level 50. His stats were off the charts, with a total score of 1200. The kid had the guts to challenge his lord with 1200 power. Julian let out a massive fiery aura, asking if he was truly ready. The hero's aura flared out like a golden storm of energy. The other monsters began cheering for Thorn, screaming for him to crush Julian and take the throne so they could claim the women too. Julian closed his eyes, and noted that it seemed many of them were quite eager to follow a new master. But before they started, he needed to confirm one thing first. He summoned a fireball, warning that if they wanted to keep following him, they should step aside now or be incinerated. The captain was impressed. The captain figured he might be able to escape during the chaos of this civil war. There was no way to fight them all. Once the current leader fell, he would find a gap. Several monsters moved to Julian's side. Thorn had made his choice. He wanted absolute power over the horde. He drew his massive blade. "Stick with me, you're going to want to see if the hero survives." He charged, but Julian stepped back and dodged. "All right, you and I are about to see this redhead show off more power than back in the forest." Alistair praises Garrett's skill and raises his blade. The steel erupts in a massive wave of fire as he tells the beast to brace for impact. Garrett starts to panic. He's never seen a sword move this fast. Knowing he can't dodge, he swings hard and cuts right through the blazing sphere. Our main character realizes this beast is actually tough. Garrett charges forward, letting out a primal roar that shakes the ground. The monster towers over him at twice his size. Sir Alistair just lets out a dry, sarcastic laugh. Garrett's strike hits the earth with an explosive boom. Both humans watching from the sidelines are absolutely terrified by the force. The surrounding goblins hold their breath, waiting for the end. But Garrett freezes in horror. Alistair caught the blade with one hand. Alistair commends his strength, but says it's simply not enough. He activates his iron shell defense before drawing a heavy crossbow. "Now watch this." Garrett's eyes widen as he stares down the barrel of pure destruction. All that's left at the end is a scream. Alistair asks if he's had enough. Garrett collapses to his knees, his face completely covered in blood as he surrenders. Sir Alistair remains impressed by the beast's raw courage. The other goblins beg for mercy, swearing eternal loyalty. They kneel and tremble before the overwhelming power of their new lord. He calls them spineless cowards. They cry for forgiveness, vowing to follow him. He orders Garrett to stand and heals him. Lady Evelyn begins the mending process, while Alistair admits the redhead has some real guts. As long as the brute served him faithfully, he would be allowed to live another day. But the other traitors won't be so lucky. Alistair orders Garrett to finish them. The beast thanks him and prepares for execution. The desperate goblins scream for mercy, but Garrett crushes them without a second thought. Sir Alistair tells the others to feast on the traitors and grow stronger. The loyal tribesmen celebrate this bloody victory. The captain, stunned by the carnage, wonders what kind of nightmare Lord Lawrence has stumbled into. This wasn't some random beast. It was far worse. Alistair approaches Lawrence's cross and apologizes for the lack of a show. Did Lawrence truly believe those fools would save him? He mocks the man for being so incredibly naive. Lawrence spits back that it's all the cowardly sword saints' fault for hiding within the safety of Brightwall. Then he breaks into a crazed laughter, shouting that everyone in this God's forsaken place is useless. You and I have to admit, it's impressive he hasn't lost his mind yet. The captain admits he underestimated Alistair, but warns him not to get overconfident. The legendary Blade Matriarch would arrive, once she finally defeated the ancient mother of dragons. The protagonist leans in and asks the captain if he really thought the dragons acted on their own. Everything was going according to plan. The captain laughs, realizing the entire city and his squad were just pawns. He asks for a quick death, since he has already surrendered all his secrets to the main character. He'd rather die than suffer like Lawrence. Alistair stares in silence for a moment before agreeing to grant the request. Suddenly, a voice cries out for the Blade Matriarch, and she wakes up from her slumber with a sharp start. Sitting up, she asks what the emergency is. The dragons are dead. Are the knights finally home? The knight stammers, unable to speak. She snaps at him to get it out. He reveals only one survivor returned. The rest were wiped out. The Blade Matriarch leaps up in shock, and honestly, seeing her in her nightwear is a sight for sore eyes, before she quickly dons her heavy plate armor. She rushes to the infirmary to see the survivor herself. He is in a wretched state. She demands to know what happened to the rest of the brave knights. The wounded man claims they were ambushed by highborn greenskins and begs her to rescue the others immediately. Fading fast, he warns her that these goblins are unnatural creatures. Then his voice finally goes quiet. The healer shouts for him to stay awake, while others argue that simple greenskins couldn't do this. A knight yells in rage. He vows to exterminate them like common pests. Gwendolyn tells him to wait and stay calm. Dragon raids are becoming constant. She can't protect the realm alone if they launch another full-scale attack. She orders a detachment to march, while requesting reinforcements to safeguard the walls of Brightwall. When the moment is right, she intends to wipe out both the greenskin filth and the dragon mother. The knight tries to protest, while the mage wonders if anyone will actually survive this journey. But trust me, someone else has a different plan. A cold voice says arrogance leads to defeat, and it's why the Silver Rose Order fell. It's Lord Kalen, the High Commander of the Order of the Black Guard. All right, stick with me, because you and I are about to see if this arrogant knight can actually back up his big talk against an entire goblin army. He claims he once faced 4 Titan Knights single-handedly and lived. Even if those monsters have heroic blood, they stand 0 chance of hurting a man like him. Then he pulls off his mask, revealing a face melted away by a massive scar. He tells them to just wait for good news. Meanwhile, our hero asks the system to restart the life simulation. The system warns him about the Sword Saint ordering Kasimov to raid the village. Even if the main character wins, the destruction will be a massive blow to his progress. Our hero wonders if Kasimov is truly that powerful, enough to level the entire village to the ground. The system presents 3 distinct mission paths. He could rebuild, prepare for war, or strike Kasimov first. He chooses the third option and accepts the quest to hunt the Mad Knight down. The reward is 20 points, but before he moves, he needs to know exactly who Kasimov is. Suddenly, a loud laugh echoes through the village. Lorden is celebrating Kasimov's arrival, shouting that the goblins are finally finished. He screams that their end is near because Kasimov has already slain several Titan Knights. Our main character notices how much Lorden trusts this man. He then asks what these Titan Knights actually are. Lorden explains they are super soldiers fueled by ancient genes from the enemy kingdom, strong enough to rip monsters apart barehanded. Now watch this part carefully, because things are about to get very dark, very fast, as Lorden keeps screaming that the whole village will be torn apart. Lord Linton suggests they play it safe. Maybe he should send a scout first to test Kasimov's true power. Deep in the forest, Kasimov rides his horse, tracking the trail of the missing adventurers. The woods are eerily silent, which feels wrong to him. He finds what is left of the Silver Vanguard and calls them useless idiots. The heavy scent of blood fills the air, and it actually excites him. He thinks this might be his chance to enjoy destroying everything in his path. Suddenly, he hears desperate cries for help from behind and turns to find the source. He spurs his horse directly toward the screaming. When he arrives, he finds a blonde woman kneeling on the dirt, trembling and unclothed. He demands to know who she is, but she stays silent. She turns around and Kasimov recognizes her immediately. It is Lady Evlia, and she is begging him to save her life. He shouts in shock that she is still alive. Riding closer, he asks if Lorden has survived the attack. Sobbing, she says she barely escaped the goblin horde, but Lorden is gone. Kasimov demands she point him toward the location of the monster tribe. She says they are nearby, but terrifying. Kasimov gets suspicious for a moment before charging toward the enemy camp. Evlia screams for him to take her away, but he is already gone, yelling for her to save herself. He has a mission to complete and bonuses to stack. Kasimov's unique class gives him massive stat boosts when working alone, and even more when he kills an enemy. Okay, I know what you're thinking. This guy is a total psycho, right? Well, it's about to get even crazier as he plans his next ambush. As he gallops forward, his horse trips over a hidden rope trap. He is thrown into the air as his steed crashes. Kasimov flips and lands perfectly on his feet. He looks back at his attacker and sees none other than Lady 𝒕𝒂𝒕�. He demands to know why she is still there. 𝒕𝒂�� raises her staff and blasts him with a holy light critical strike, hitting him directly. He screams, asking what the hell she is doing. She coldly replies that her master ordered her to take him down. She fires a sacred impact that hits him squarely. As purple smoke surrounds her, 𝒂𝒕𝒔 counters by activating his soul devour skill. He grabs her by the hair, demanding to know what spell she is under to dare attack him. She refuses to speak. He licks her shoulder and tells her he won't be gentle. He admits he does not just like killing monsters, he loves tormenting humans too. He talks about peeling the skin off her bones. Pointing his blade at her throat, he says she has a great chance to build up his stats. Suddenly, a voice says they finally understand why he was arrogant enough to try and fight them alone. Our hero stands behind him with a sword, noting that 𝒂𝒕𝒔's stats and gear are completely broken. His blade has a power called Mortal Harvest, which increases critical damage by 90%. If 𝒂𝒕𝒔 lands even one sneak attack, it would be game over for our main character. 𝒂𝒕𝒔 is stunned. How could a low-level monster steal his legendary sword in a single second? 𝒕𝒂𝒕𝒔 runs to our hero, calling him master. 𝒂𝒕𝒔 screams that she has disgraced herself by serving a disgusting goblin. Our hero pats her head, praising her for being a loyal servant. He tells 𝒂𝒕𝒔 that he is deeply disappointed. He expected a formidable knight, but he only found a psychopath who lives for the kill. 𝒂𝒕𝒔 says it does not matter how the monster found out about his hidden stats and secret powers. Even without his sword or skills, he claims he can still send this pathetic creature to hell. He is confident that his raw strength is enough to win. Do you and I think our hero has a plan? Trust me, we are about to find out. Stick with me. You're about to see two armored goblins spring a lethal trap on Arthur and Alara. Arthur just smirks, telling them they're first in line for hell as his dragon incinerates Lord Casimir with a blast of fire. The man is turned to ash instantly. Talk about a world record for the fastest trip to the afterlife, right? Back at the Shadowpeak clan, the goblins howl as their chief returns, dragging fresh prey behind his massive wolf mount. He tosses a broken body before the ragged prisoners, mocking the fallen warrior known as the legendary Great Reaper. Overconfidence always leads to a shallow grave. The man groans, revealing that the rest of his squad is already dead. He curses the Saintess, calling her a witch for her failed strategy of sending knights to defend the city gates alone. The chief plans to evolve his elite goblins now, using the knight's body as a source of dark, magical nutrients. He offers the kill to young Grog, ordering him to share whatever meat is left with the rest of the pack. The goblin horde swarms forward, cackling and thanking their twisted leader. Grog was chosen because he has the best chance of becoming a rare type. As he feasts, the chief thinks his sadistic nature makes him perfect for this dark transformation. Grabbing a fruit, he considers the Saintess. His system revealed her secrets. She only has 3 knight squads left, and the Argent Order has already been wiped out. News of Casimir's defeat will crush their morale. Soon, the Saintess will be forced to come out and play her last hand. Now is the perfect time for us to use the simulation mirror and glimpse the future. He starts the emulation, laughing at how ambitious the Saintess thinks she is while he prepares the trap. He knows he'll win this game in the end. Leaving his den, he orders his scouts to gather every goblin, for tomorrow they pull off their biggest heist yet. The goblins obey. He's determined to wipe them all out. Elsewhere, a High Lord demands to know how the body was found. A steward reports the knight was found outside the city walls. One woman is shocked, while a captain asks how mere goblins killed Casimir. The woman notes their failed purges and realizes that the dragon appearing now is definitely not just a stroke of bad luck. She concludes the dragons and goblins are working together to bring down the human kingdom. They're using the citizens as bait for a deadly ambush. It is time for them to make a move. She rallies the Warcry unit, ordering every soldier to reinforce the capital before the final siege begins. The knights ride hard. One man warns that even at a full gallop, it will take 4 days to reach the capital. He worries about leaving the city defenseless and begs to go alone, so the rest can stay behind to protect the Saintess and their home. The woman snaps that he doesn't understand. This plan ensures that if they hit a goblin trap, someone survives. At least one rider can escape to sound the alarm. If the Saintess wins, the dragon outside won't matter much. The real threat is the city being left wide open. The knights agree that this is their only chance to survive. Her job is to secure the reinforcements and get them to the capital fast. There is no time to waste anymore. The man finally realizes the gravity. Suddenly, the lead knight pulls his horse back in shock. The bridge is destroyed. The girl realizes it was sabotaged and suggests they take a long detour through the woods. But the captain refuses, fearing that a detour is exactly what the enemy wants for a forest ambush. Since the bridge is out, this spot must be clear. He orders them to cut timber and rebuild the crossing before nightfall. Hours pass in the woods until the bridge is standing. He tells them to hurry across, but the girl notices it's suddenly pitch black. The knight looks up and completely freezes. This is bad. A massive dragon looms over the bridge, and someone screams that a goblin is riding its back. Panic sets in as they realize the monsters have truly formed an alliance. Now pay attention here. The goblin chief cackles, mocking their hard work as they fall right into his clever trap by rebuilding the bridge instead of fleeing. The knight growls, asking if he was the one behind this. He vows to kill him, but the dragon breathes a wall of fire, and the bridge begins to collapse in flames. The fire spreads quickly. The girl screams for the captain while cursing the names of those filthy goblins. The knight swears he'll torture the leader to death. The goblin chief just tilts his head. Is that all? And that's where we leave it. Trust me, you're going to want to see the fallout of this ambush. All right, you and I are diving into a story where knights face their worst nightmare. Lady Alina warns the commander that if the wyverns appear, they're finished. But he's certain that if they just hold the line, he can save the city. The captain shouts for Sir Bane to make a break for it. He'll hold the line while Bane sprints to the city to sound the alarm. Bane nods and charges into the horde, cursing the monsters. He realizes these creatures didn't just stumble upon them, they gathered here by design. Another knight carves through the monsters, hoping the Saintess arrives soon. Once she's here, these pests will be wiped from existence. But Lady Alina notices something strange and warns the commander. She realizes they let Bane escape on purpose. It's a setup, and the commander finally sees the horrifying truth behind the goblins' plan. They're being manipulated. There was no mother of dragons. It was all a clever ruse to lure that naive woman straight into the city's heart. As the commander realizes 𝒕𝒂𝒕𝒔 is in danger, he snaps. He orders his men to charge and bring down whoever is leading those beasts, no matter the cost. The city is likely already lost, but they must survive long enough for the Saintess to reach the battlefield. Steel clashes again, as the captain fights a massive orc. He struggles against the orc's unnatural strength and realizes the creature is stronger than him. Then he notices the blade. It's Kasimov's legendary sword. This is bad. The goblin leader mocks him, saying he expected more. He pulls out a hidden weapon, noting that time is running short for the knights. Now pay attention, because as he jumps, he vows to finish these knights before the Saintess can even arrive. In a flash, the knights are blasted back by a massive attack. One survivor coughs up blood, cursing the fact that he can't take much more. He finally understands he underestimated these goblins. Before he can react, a heavy blow strikes him right in the head. The goblin leader orders his tribe to feast quickly and devour every soul. They need to finish everyone off before the Saintess finally shows her face. Much later, Saintess Alara arrives with her holy army. Her heart sinks as she realizes they might be too late to help. They find nothing but the remains of the fallen. Bane swears vengeance, while Alara stares in horror. Not even the bodies were left behind. She wonders if the dragons have truly joined forces with the goblin tribes once again. Bane describes a goblin who seemed to command the dragons themselves. Ilara is stunned. A goblin controlling ancient drakes is unheard of. He explains how the goblin ordered a dragon to incinerate the bridge, likely killing the commander and the entire unit in the process. Ilara notes the burn marks look more like goblin alchemy than dragon fire. She realizes there aren't many dragons coming, and the marks tell a different story. Suddenly, she sees something and goes pale as a ghost. Watch closely. She realizes this was all bait. She screams for a retreat, knowing 𝒕𝒂𝒕𝒔 is currently being slaughtered while they're out here. Bane is paralyzed with fear. Back in the city, it's a scene of total devastation and ash. Ilara stands amidst the ruins, her spirit breaking as she stares at the tragedy. She falls to her knees, unable to believe her holy city has been destroyed. She spots a young boy weeping for his father. She tries to comfort him, but the child pushes her away. He tells her to leave, saying the knights only pretend to protect the innocent. He screams that when the goblins arrived, the knights were nowhere to be found. He calls her a heartless, terrible person. The survivors ask why they should accept her apologies now. She failed her duty as a saintess when they needed her most and left them all to die. Ilara is speechless, her confidence shattered as she takes every harsh word to heart. Everywhere she turns, she hears whispers of her incompetence. The people she swore to protect now view her as a useless failure. Without even meeting her face to face, the Goblin King has completely crushed the saintess's soul. As night falls on the tribe, he walks among his people victorious. The chieftain walks through the camp and asks Gobi for a full report on today's raids and whether they faced any unexpected complications. Gobi reports the city raid was a massive success. Many humans surrendered to save their own skins and are currently being held as prisoners. He also confirms that Clara and her family were safely escorted out with a chest of gold, just as ordered. The chieftain praises him, ordering the tribe to focus on devouring magical beasts to increase their power. He remembers Clara as the only one who truly believed in him in his past life. Now, the Holy Sword's power is completely defeated. Deep in the forest, wyverns circle above. He thanks the Mother of Dragons for her crucial role in the plan. She finds it satisfying that the Saintess is now bedridden and broken, but she asks if he expects her dragons to keep flying these missions. Flying back and forth every day is exhausting work. She wonders what kind of reward he has in mind for her. The chieftain tries to show her something, but she suddenly pulls him into a kiss. She says she wants him as her reward and asks what he thinks. Is she joking? We're about to find out together. All right, stick with me. We're about to see a literal dragon queen demand a child from a lowly goblin. If he dares to refuse her, she'll be absolutely furious. He tries to play it cool, asking how a monster could ever be worthy of her. But honestly, she looks absolutely thrilled by the idea. She sees something nobody else does, the raw potential of a true king hidden beneath his green skin. See, her noble bloodline only respects strength. She needs a powerful mate to ensure her future heirs can rule the skies with absolute authority. He smiles and gives in. There's no running now. Surrounded by massive dragons, he officially accepts his new, heavy responsibility. Suddenly, the system pings. He lands a massive achievement, boosting every single stat and giving him a ton of points to spend. But he's not sticking around. He sneaks away while she sleeps, terrified that if he has to survive another round, he might actually break. High above, a mysterious pair of eyes watches him. She believes he's the one to lead his kind into a new era. Meanwhile, back at the camp, a sudden scream pierces the air. A woman confronts him, desperate to know if he's throwing them away. He explains the human captives are free to go now. He's playing the long game, wanting to win over the elves, loyalty instead. He tells the girls they're free to go, but she turns to her mother, whispering that their hero looks completely surprised. She kneels and declares that from everything she has witnessed so far, he is far from a normal monster. She begs to stay, wanting to follow him into whatever comes next. He knows she's smart. She's clearly using him as a secret trump card for her people, so he lets her stay, entirely on his own terms. One of the younger girls cries out, unable to believe her mother would choose to stay with a monster. But the tide shifts. One by one, they pledge their lives to him. Nobody is leaving his side today. He smiles. Everything is going exactly as planned. They aren't prisoners anymore. They are his first real unit of loyal subordinates. He promises to keep them safe, and the gratitude in the room is electric. With the enemy defeated, it's the perfect time to build his kingdom. He's ready to start a brand new era of heroes. One of his servants grumbles that the human women are just way too small. The elves offer a solution to grow the tribe, and he realizes it's their only real way forward. Suddenly, a scout yells, "A goblin is dead." He bolts toward the scene, his heart hammering against his ribs in pure confusion. No one knows. The guy was just hiding there, scratching himself like a total madman until he finally dropped dead. Pay attention here, something twisted is coming. The body starts to warp. A level 50 mutant abomination rises from the dirt, laughing like a demon. This thing is a nightmare of raw, jagged power. He realizes right then that without those dragon stat boosts, he would have been absolute toast. The monster brags about its new strength. He ignores the talk, focusing entirely on how to handle this dangerous new generation. 3 months pass. In the bustling city of Brightite, rumors are swirling inside a dusty old tavern. People are whispering about the holy sword. Can it ever recover? Most of the locals seriously doubt it will. A knight scoffs, claiming a few goblins are nothing the legendary Bloodstorm heroes can't handle with a single swing. The room goes silent as Sir Earl, a diamond-rank captain of the elite heroes, steps into the light. You and I know what's coming. He's already bred 153 generations of warriors. The crown puts a massive bounty on his head. Now, every elite hunter in the kingdom is coming for those 100 gold coins. The system warns him, epic-level threats are coming. He needs to prepare for a fight like no other. Diamond rank is elite, but epic. That's power that makes even the legendary Holy Sword look like a toy. There are no more tutorials or warnings. Every choice he makes from here on out is entirely on him. An elf interrupts his thoughts with an urgent report. Something is very wrong. The tribe is growing too fast. The forest is picked clean, and his people are starting to starve in the shadows. The humans are closing in, and the resources are gone. They have to move, and they have to move now. He gives the command to march. The elves handle the supplies while everyone prepares for a massive migration. They find a hidden waterfall leading to a massive tunnel system. It's the perfect fortress for a growing tribe of monsters. He leads them into the dark, ordering his scouts to secure every corner and keep a close eye on the children. Torches flicker to life, illuminating their new sanctuary deep underground. So you and I have to wonder, will this new home be their salvation or their grave? We'll find out soon. Stick with me here. Anyone breaking rules dies. With the tribe settled, our hero heads to the city to see what is brewing. If his senses are right, these adventurers are already preparing to make their move. Down in the city tavern, a heavy mug hits the table. The server asks Prince Cedric if a high noble like him should really be wasting time hunting low-level goblins again. Duke Cedric sighs, claiming he only has to handle this mess to save his pathetic cousin, Leon. The innkeeper just nods along, but suddenly a loud voice bellows through the room, calling out for Cedric. The stranger claims Cedric just takes all the credit and the gold. He asks what his real motive is, leaving the whole tavern whispering in confusion. Cedric snaps back, saying he is taking that bounty to wipe every last goblin off the map, and they better have 1,000 gold coins ready. Someone gasps, wondering why a great mage is here. Another whispers that he is the leader of the S-rank heroes, known as the Grey Sage. Voices mutter about the old man being way too fired up, questioning his nerve. Then, a sharp laugh cuts through the tension. A man mocks them, asking if they think they can act tough just because the holy sword went wild. He warns them not to forget that the deadly mercenary, Lucinda, is also in town. The room goes pale. Whispers spread about why someone that dangerous is here. Word is she even kills innocent people if the price is right. The Duke asks if he is just another wandering hero here for the goblins, but the man scoffs. He has zero interest in small fry. He is only here to slay dragons. If he can take one down, he might finally reach the legendary epic rank. But then he drops a warning: never underestimate goblins. They might be low level, but their evolution and mutant species are pure nightmare fuel. The Gray Sage agrees. He is over 100 years old and has seen way more goblins than he has women. These pests have been around since ancient times as the enemy of every living race, and somehow they just never stay dead. He drains his beer, muttering that wiping them out is a total chore. Honestly, if it was not for the gold, he would not even bother. Cedric admits it is a mess. Even the Saintess and the Royal Knights struggled and took heavy losses, so they have to be careful. He suggests the old mage should put together an elite squad to handle the goblin threat once and for all. He promises the entire reward will be his once the job is done. The old man laughs, saying they have themselves a deal. Since the prince is feeling so generous, the old mage agrees to partner up, though he looks incredibly suspicious. Time passes as they prepare. They dive into mission strategy, focusing entirely on brute force. One hero warns that charging in blindly is suicide, and they need a real plan. Another mocks him for being too cautious, even suggesting the guy might be too scared to get his own hands dirty. The young man looks confused as a warrior in polished armor approaches. Cedric immediately thinks this guy feels completely off. The Gray Sage is shocked to see the legendary goblin slayer here and tries to talk to him. The young man tenses up instantly. He apologizes for not recognizing the legend, but the slayer just says he does not want to be known and asks what they want. The prince thinks he is a total freak. Even his voice sounds like it is being muffled or disguised by his helmet. The old mage explains that this man once slaughtered a goblin chieftain and has thousands of kills to his name. Cedric is stunned. He asks the slayer to join their party, but the man refuses. He does not need a group. They would just slow him down. The mage scoffs at his pride, telling him not to come crying for help when the goblins eventually drag him into a cage. He tells the team to stop wasting time and attack first so that Loner does not steal all the glory. Wait, shouldn't they prepare first? Watch this. A bit later, the hunter leaves the city alone while our hero watches from the shadows. He triggers his true sight to scan the man, realizing he is a level 65 human goblin slayer with insane specialized skills. He nearly panics when the guy's power level suddenly spikes from 1,000 to 3,000 in a heartbeat. He wonders if the interface is broken, but the oracle claims everything is fine and apologizes. Soon, the mounted knights ride out from the city. Our hero is definitely curious now. He spots Sir Galahad, a holy knight with a power level around 1,300. Next to him is Master Gru, a grand mage at 1,400. He is a problem. Still, he figures these two S-rankers are manageable. You and I both know the real threat is that slayer. He is the one to watch. Later, the adventurers reach the ruins of the Stormclaw clan. The old mage mutters that something here feels completely wrong. A goblin tribe of this size should have been spotted months ago. There should be signs of their camp everywhere. The leader calls the sage over to inspect something strange. He places a single lock of golden hair into the old man's hand. The sage sniffs the hair and his eyes widen. If his nose is right, this definitely belongs to an elf. The young noble is baffled, asking why elven women would ever help goblins. The old mage says they need to search the woods. They are not hiding. They likely moved and hid their trail. He releases special butterflies designed to track elven magic through the forest. Maybe this tracks them both. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see what happens next. The scouting spirit lost the trail. He wonders if they escaped across the river. He thinks they should wait for the slayer to move first, but the old knight says it is unnecessary. He points across the riverbank. A goblin is spotted, and the young lord orders his men to seize it. All right, you and I are about to see a trap spring. Our hero watches as the prey takes the bait. The legendary hunter stands by the water. He had planned for the others, but this one is a total surprise, especially with that very curious smile. Then he freezes. The warrior sheds her heavy plate and steps into the lake, revealing she is actually an elf. He is absolutely floored, wondering if the fearsome slayer is actually a woman. She clearly is not human, and her skills are insane. Who else would casually bathe in the middle of a war zone? Suddenly, the air feels heavy. Did she sense him? He realizes something is very wrong. Now watch this move. He escapes on a drake before she can lure him out. This woman is incredibly cunning. As he retreats, the huntress looks to the sky, curious about the strange rider flying above her. She seems thrilled by the challenge. Moments later, a scout goblin lies broken and defeated on the forest floor. The young commander calls for a halt. The enemy is close, and everyone needs to stay sharp. Fire arrows rain down on them. The old archmage shields the group, hurling massive flames back at the hidden archers. It is a total ambush. The young lord realizes they barely escaped, but the battle is only beginning. Silence. The mage screams as a massive, mutated goblin charges out of the deep shadows. He warns it is a hero-class beast and orders everyone to focus fire. The archmage blasts it with a massive fireball. It looks like a direct hit, but the beast is unharmed. The archmage cannot believe his eyes. You and I both saw that blast, right? But the monster keeps coming. The leader realizes they are surrounded. Elite goblins are closing in, wearing heavy plate armor. He cannot let them get any closer to the line. The healer casts Fountain of Life to restore the knights. Another adventurer strikes back with deadly ice spikes. They unleash quicksand fields and rain of judgment, battering the monsters as they try to raise their shields. Someone is watching from the heights. The hidden commander tells the brute to find an opening and strike. The goblin champion launches himself into the air, crashing into the earth with terrifying force. He tears toward the adventurers. The old mage curses their speed, realizing these are no ordinary monsters. On the flank, more massive mutants advance through the carnage. The leader rallies the squires to hold the line, but the goblins crush the royal knights with terrifying and brutal efficiency. Desperate, he calls upon the Holy Lord for divine strength. He unleashes high-tier holy light and hastes to empower his broken men. He orders a defensive circle to protect the wounded and begin the healing process immediately. Furious, he vows to kill them all. Our hero admits these diamond-rank knights are actually quite formidable and stronger than he expected. Any other tribe would have been slaughtered. Too bad they stumbled into the wrong territory today. More monsters emerge, and another mutant joins the fray. The archmage is starting to panic. It is another mutant. The slayer watches calmly, fascinated by their power until a scream echoes across the field. Sir Gerald is hit hard. The mutant lifts him like a toy. These goblins fight with a supernatural focus. The young leader is beaten down, unable to believe this defeat. The old man begs for salvation, but the young lord is paralyzed. He is witnessing a true nightmare. He flees in terror, screaming that these things are demons. The mutant looms over the fallen archmage. The young lord runs for his life, dodging arrows and cursing his terrible luck. He realizes there are hidden elven archers in the trees. Then, someone pulls him to safety. He looks up, terrified. He sees the slayer and begs for his life, just as more goblins pounce from the darkness. A fresh battle erupts. Earl watches, trembling, as the goblins around him are systematically dismantled. Overjoyed, he thanks the slayer repeatedly, promising a massive reward for this rescue. But she just scoffs at him, telling the brat to stay away from her. She calls him a pathetic, ridiculous kid. And that is where we leave it for now. He warns of a massive overlord, but the slayer says she will feel more satisfied this way. Back on the bloody battlefield, the mutant goblin claims the old archmage's head. All right, stick with me as a massive blade slams home. The monster goes down cold, and our hero watches from the shadows, whispering about this goblin frenzy. What in the world is happening? A pack of beasts turns as a mysterious stranger approaches. The noble knight strides forward, asking if this ugly thing is the leader, Because with that pathetic face, it certainly doesn't look like one. The mutated beast shrieks a death threat and lunges, ready for blood. Our slayer doesn't flinch, drawing his steel for the incoming clash. Suddenly, monsters are flying everywhere. Our protagonist is stunned, staring at the system and wondering what's wrong with the world. He expected simple sword strikes, but this looks more like high-level sorcery. The mutant monster steps up, triggering a berserker frenzy skill. It charges toward the knight with nothing but pure, unbridled rage. The warrior laughs, asking if it's just a confused bull, before swinging his blade and carving the creature into bloody ribbons. He grips his massive greatsword with both hands, rushing the mutant with surprising speed. He claims the beast is already dead, but an unseen force strikes him. The ranger curses as his entire body suddenly freezes up. He considers a retreat, but this stranger is a complete mystery. Maybe they could be used as a powerful tool later on. Direct combat is a death sentence. He shouts orders for everyone to pull back and form a defensive ring, telling them to keep their distance and use every ranged weapon they have got to stall the beast. The huntress is speechless that a goblin can master a dragon. She smiles, knowing this place would finally be worth the trouble. Boulders come crashing down the slope, bouncing straight toward the exhausted female warrior. Without a second thought, she swings, shattering the huge stones mid-air. Then, she drives her blade into the dirt, leaning on it just to breathe. Our hero notes they've been at it for 1 hour. She looks like she's about to drop. Now watch this reveal. She tosses her heavy helmet aside, showing a stunning face that leaves every monster nearby completely under her spell. Our hero is frozen in disbelief. Suddenly, she crushes the heart of the fallen mage, claiming it's the perfect source of nourishment to replenish her strength. The hero is terrified. He completely underestimated her. The huntress keeps carving through them effortlessly, but then her eyes lock onto a new target. The mutant calls her a filthy woman and attacks. An instant later, a blade glowing with raw energy cuts him down. The huntress unleashes her secret skill, and the monster literally explodes into 1,000 pieces. Who is she? If she can devour monsters like that, the hero knows he needs to run. He shouts for the elf to move and orders a total retreat. But the huntress speaks up, telling them all to stay exactly where they are. She admits she hasn't seen a goblin this clever in centuries. If he lets her take a good look, she'll spare his life and even heal the one wounded by the poisoned blade. The hero scoffs, asking if she thinks he's stupid enough to believe her. The girl looks shocked, asking if he doubts her word. Then she begins unbuckling the heavy plates of her armor. The steel hits the floor. Standing there without protection, she asks if he finally trusts her intentions. He can't believe she'd just disarm like that. Is this a trap? He starts walking down the slope, trying to figure her out. He agrees they should talk. She smiles, saying that even for a low-rank creature, he's far more interesting than she ever could have imagined. He shows himself as requested and demands the healing. She pulls out a needle and tells him to relax. She's a woman of her word, after all. She'll keep the promise. But first, he has to please her. He might look like a simple goblin, but he has the mind of a king. Totally her type. I know what you're thinking. This is getting weird. The hero feels his guard drop, realizing he's walked right into the lair of a total lunatic. Suddenly, everyone around them turns their backs on the pair. The hero is lost, asking what's happening. She strolls closer, whispering that everyone here is now under her absolute control. They won't see a thing. She laughs, jumping on him and pulling him into a tight embrace, telling him to just relax. She's not going to kill him. She promises to stay by his side as she starts planning their grand future together. Then, without warning, she slams the goblin lord into the cold, hard ground. She wonders what kind of beast he'll truly become. Before he can move, she's on him. He's dazed, wondering if this nightmare is even real. Nearby, Lord Arthur watches from the bushes in total shock at what's unfolding. The horrible truth hits him. The slayer is a woman, and she's actually with the goblin. Suddenly, something dark creeps toward him. Arthur freezes in terror. Our hero warns her that this is a monster's den and there will be consequences for her actions. The woman simply says she wants to test his strength. Who are you? What is this strange power? Stick with me, because you and I need to find out how she's controlling everyone. All right, you and I are diving into a secret that changes everything. The huntress Alara reveals the truth. She is actually the daughter of a legendary goblin king. Arthur is completely stunned. He demands to know how she can be the overlord's kin while looking like a human. She calmly explains that her mother was a human noble, and it is not like there is only one goblin king. She explains that high-rank goblins rarely have children, yet she survived against all odds, growing even stronger and healthier than any of her savage kin. After 10 years of torment, she finally struck back and killed the king who tried to claim her by force. By devouring his remains, she stole his power to dominate all goblins. With that dark gift, she single-handedly wiped out the entire dungeon. Arthur realizes she controls them through royal essence. She admits she forged that very power into her signature obsidian blade. Whenever she strikes, it is like planting a curse. Her victims literally cannot disobey her command. It is a death sentence. She confesses she became a slayer out of pure hatred. Arthur realizes her twisted personality is just a scar from her trauma, which honestly makes sense. He can feel her lingering pain. She isn't just a warrior, she is a living weapon. Arthur sees a kindred spirit and invites her to join him. Alara is shocked he isn't terrified, realizing there is no need for any more tricks or games. Things are looking up, but Alara warns that the capital is a total mess. She offers to return as his secret spy. Arthur is skeptical, wondering if she is really the kind of person to help him. She claims that since he is her partner now, she will protect him first. Arthur visibly tenses up. Later, Arthur checks his magical ledger. Seeing his points, he is disappointed. He expected a woman with the blood of a king to be worth much more. Pay attention here. Someone suddenly reveals that Arthur's cousin, Cedric, is actually still alive. The villagers sneer, calling Cedric a family disgrace. They mock him, saying it is no wonder the holy sword never came to his rescue. The man snaps back, calling him a worthless coward. He points to the filth, saying the idiot will die like a dog. Suddenly, a massive goblin snatches the young noble. Terrified, Cedric screams, begging to know what it is doing. It drags him toward a boiling cauldron. Cedric grovels for his life, promising the monsters gold and noble women if they let him live. Arthur steps in, silencing the coward. He calls him a pathetic mongrel, asking why he finally found his voice after staying silent while others suffered. A knight nearby begs Arthur to free his cousin, promising to fulfill any request in return. The knight admits he was wrong before and begs for forgiveness for calling Arthur a half-blood. Lynn can't believe a prisoner is trying to bargain. The man then suggests a cruel plan: use Cedric as bait. They can lure more rescuers into the trap and feast on them all. Arthur is absolutely sickened by the suggestion. In a cold trance, the man mutters that everyone deserves to die. He is ready to kill them all. Surprised by the man's sudden resolve, Arthur accepts the deal. The fallen knight looks completely out of it. You and I saw this coming, right? The elf warns that freeing him will expose them, but Arthur just tells her to trust him. Back in the city, panic erupts. The innkeeper asks for news, and a frantic man tells him that their defenses are finished. He saw a knight named 𝒕𝒂𝒕𝒔, missing a leg, fleeing toward the capital on a savage, man-eating steed. The crowd loses it. If a hero like 𝒕𝒂𝒕𝒔 failed, then the entire vanguard must have been slaughtered. They whisper about the fallen mercenaries, wondering if 𝒕𝒂𝒕𝒔 was the only survivor. Just then, the huntress walks in, confirming their fears. She tells them everyone is dead. Only 𝒕𝒂𝒕𝒔 remains. Exhausted, she collapses into a chair at the tavern. A local adventurer asks if she really took part in the battle. Alara nods, her eyes cold. She describes hundreds of massive mutants and monsters. She claims she finished them off herself, but the numbers were insane. The tavern falls into a deathly silence. Nobody expected the goblin slayer to be capable of such a feat. The innkeeper offers her drinks on the house, while the patrons just stare in shock, unable to move. Suddenly, the doors burst open. Swarms of bats flood the room, hanging from the rafters like dark omens. Alara looks up and smiles. She greets the Frost Wraith mercenaries, complimenting their overly dramatic entrance. One mercenary demands to know if she found the nest. He is skeptical, claiming those bastards hide underground, so there is no way she knew. Alara shrugs. She didn't find the lair, she just killed every single one that crossed her path. She asks if they can handle the remaining horde. A bat-like scout scoffs, telling her not to worry about the search. Tracking the lair is their job. They ask if she will join the hunt, but the goblin hunter slowly stands up. She declines, admitting she hates night shifts and isn't much use. The mercenaries laugh, eager to claim the hunt for themselves. Trust me, you and I don't want to miss what these creatures find deep within the dark forest tonight. Lord Silas, why are we here? I don't sense any powerful enemies in this forest. Stick with me. You're about to watch a simple routine raid turn into a total nightmare. The goblin sentries shrug it off, but stay on edge as the intruders glide deeper into the darkness. Was that really it? Just a few measly goblins and one mutant. They wonder if they hit some average tribe by mistake, but the captain is certain there is no error. The scout was right, fat, sleeping goblins. The perfect prey to feast on before the sun rises. He orders the charge. Fangs out, ready for blood, then boom. A massive blast of energy sends him flying. He crashes to the floor, broken. A mysterious woman steps out of the shadows. This wasn't in the plan. Torches ignite, revealing the truth. Hundreds of goblins swarm from every tunnel. It's a trap, and they're boxed in. He curses his luck. There's no escape. The entrance is blocked by a wall of roaring flames. Panic sets in. Then, Alaric steps forward, asking if these bloodsuckers really thought they could raid his home. He wants to see what they're made of. The vampire captain glares at Alaric and signals for an all-out attack. Now pay attention. Here comes the big reveal you and I have been waiting for. Since their cover is blown, she declares that every single living soul in this cave must die. He checks his system window. It shows she is Lilith, a level 61 vampire with 2800 power. Alaric is stunned. Her stats are absolutely insane for this area. He's just glad he scouted their intel and prepared for this fight early. Lilith takes flight, tearing through the goblins. Will the fire kill them first, or will she? Then Alaric activates his skill and the whole cave lights up with gold. Blinding golden energy swirls through the cavern. The vampires scream, shielding their eyes from the holy radiance. How can a lowly goblin use holy magic? The light surges, and another vampire is slammed into the dirt. Alaric steps up. Nobody wins if we keep fighting, so let's talk business. Lilith is definitely not amused. She thinks he's after a bounty. He just tilts his head. Why would ancient vampires need gold? She looks flustered, then snaps back. Does he think hiding from the holy church is cheap? Without human blood, they have to buy food. Alaric realizes if he recruits them, his clan's legacy will be unstoppable. He gets it. He offers a deal, join him, and he will provide all the food they need. The goblins mutter, but Lilith cuts them off. What could a goblin tribe possibly offer to sustain them? Okay, I know what you're thinking. A magical food source. Stick with me, because this is where the story gets really wild. The vampires trade shocked glances and start whispering amongst themselves. Alaric shares an old legend. Long ago, a succubus discovered that extracting a certain vital essence from men provided them with incredible nourishment and power for their kind. It became their entire life force. No killing required. Just extract the essence anywhere and you can store it for later. It is a total game changer. My tribe has plenty of essence to spare. Sign the deal, and I'll make sure you never go hungry again. One vampire whispers that she's actually heard of those legendary creatures once before. Is this a trick? Their leader narrows her eyes. There's only one way to find out if he's lying. A sister grabs her captain. She protests. They are noble countesses, and their lord is still magically sealed. Should they wait for him? Lilith fires back. For hundreds of years, how many more of our sisters have to starve to death because of that? If this works, the risk is gone. One of the vampire girls steps up to test it. The room goes silent as she freezes. Her eyes widen. It works. This essence can actually replace the blood they used to eat. Chaos breaks out as everyone wants a taste. Alaric asks Lee to step in and restore some order. The elf sighs. You really went all out for this. He just shrugs. They were starving. Lilith calls for him. She accepts the alliance. Now she asks, what does the Goblin King want in return? These caves are dark and safe. Live here, protect the tunnels from intruders and stay fed. She nods in agreement. It's a deal. She accepts. Alaric is more than happy with his new immortal guards. Back in the capital, the elite mercenary band hasn't made contact for days. Everyone assumes they were wiped out by the goblin forces. I'm sick of these useless failures. A knight snaps back. You're the one too scared to fight monsters, so how can you call yourself a diamond-rank adventurer? The mercenary snarls. I don't need a lecture from a coward like you. The tavern standoff is cut short when the holy sword enters. One man turns pale, while the other cheers. And that's where we leave it. She heads to the Dragon Lands alone, while the army gathers to crush both threats. Meanwhile, the commoners are worried. With the nobles gone, they wonder if they can even survive on their own. One man steps up, telling them to work hard and trust his strength to lead them through the darkness. He vows to aid the Saint of the Holy Sword, organizing a hunt to clear the goblins from the great forest while she trusts him completely with the mission. This is Sir Ellison, a diamond-rank marksman. To reach the Dragon Lands, they will need a sturdy ship for the crossing. The Saint asks for his protection, knowing his unique magic can manipulate objects. He bows in deep respect. For him, fighting beside the legendary Saint of the Sword is the greatest honor of his life. But deep down, he is chasing a promotion to epic rank in a kingdom where dragons rule the very skies. In the Dragon Peaks, a mother cradles her egg until she feels a sudden, chilling presence approaching her nest. A dragon crashes in with a frantic warning that the human saint has recovered her strength far faster than they ever imagined. She sets the egg down gently, cursing the timing of this unwanted human invasion. With a final kiss, she tells her unborn child to remember its father, a truly unique goblin who changed everything. Now watch closely. The mother dragon taps into her ancient power to protect her legacy. She transforms and takes flight, while nearby, the Saint of the Sword is already carving through dragons like butter. Despite the scars on her legs, the Saint stands firm when the dragon matriarch lands before her. The Saint calls her out by name. Amethyst, the legendary mother of dragons, has finally appeared. Amethyst mocks her, unable to believe the woman who lost to goblins still has the nerve to challenge a dragon. The Saint does not care for insults. To protect her people, she vows to take the dragon's life today. She charges with a devastating strike, forcing the furious dragoness to unleash a wall of lethal, purple flames. The two powers collide, shaking the earth, while Ellison stares up at the massive beast in pure terror. Suddenly, someone pulls him back just before the ground beneath him explodes into a million jagged, stone shards. The Saint screams at him to move before his weakness gets them both killed. Amethyst just keeps casting spells. A wave of sharp crystal surges toward the Saint, nearly impaling the clumsy marksman in its wake. He curses in panic, while the Saint uses the crystals as stepping stones to launch an assault. Reaching the dragon's head, she unleashes a transcendent sword art, striking the massive beast again and again with a devastating storm of cold steel. We are witnessing a miracle in the middle of a massacre. A tiny green dragon just hatched. On the bloody battlefield, the Saint stands over the fallen matriarch, her breathing heavy and her blade red. She aimed for the heart, but missed by a fraction. Instead, she took the dragon's eye. Amethyst roars in agony, swearing she will drag this arrogant madwoman to hell before the sun sets. Suddenly, a tiny voice begs her not to hurt his mother. The hatchling swoops in, distracting both warriors in the heat of battle. The mother dragon screams for her son to flee to the secret sanctuary, the only safe place left for him. Crying and growling, the little dragon watches his mother fall before turning to fly into the unknown. Ellison tells the saint to leave the runt to him, launching a barrage of magical orbs at the dragon. The hatchling fires back with a glob of burning spit, hitting the marksman square in his arrogant face. He screams, frantically splashing a healing potion over his ruined skin and swearing to cook that lizard alive for what it did. The saint tells him to stay quiet, and he might just survive this day. They need to move now, if they want to stop the goblin horde from destroying the village. Ellison admits his magic is failing to move the boat, but dragon fire might be the only way to break the seal. Back at the battlefield, the hatchling weeps beside his dying mother. He tries to drag her back to the lair, but he is far too small and weak to move her massive body. He realizes there is only one way to survive. He must devour her flesh to gain the strength to bring her back, growling in pure rage as he takes flight. Much later, the young dragon finally returns to the ancestral lair, landing with heavy wings. You and I just watched a nightmare begin. As he holds his mother's head, another beast strikes, pinning him to the earth. His mother's head rolls across the floor. The dragon reports to the king that they have finally captured the strange intruder. A massive red drake watches, recognizing the head as Lady Filba's. He steps toward the smaller dragon, demanding to know his true identity. Now pay attention, he claims it's his mother's head. He found this place through blood memories and begs the king to save her. Stick with me, we're about to see a half-breed orphan shake the throne of the great worms. The elder drake confirms the betrayal, and it's a pity Arthur inherited the king's sacred power crystal. The great worm monarch leans in for a closer look at the boy. He stands tall and confirms he is definitely her son, but his blood is tainted, asking who his father was. The boy admits he doesn't know, only that his mother called his father a goblin. The dragon court is horrified. One night drake attacks, screaming that goblin blood is a curse and begging the king for the kill. The massive red king watches for a heartbeat, then tells him to hold his fire. He explains the boy is the grandson of the late king who passed away. Since the royal race has withered down to this single crystal bloodline, he must be put to the test. The great king declares that if he wants to save his mother, he must survive a duel with the champion at his side. That beast grins, thanking the king for a bit of entertainment before lunging with his massive jaws wide open at the boy. In a heartbeat, the boy dives headfirst into the beast's gaping throat. The surrounding nobles freeze in shock, which only makes the champion even more furious. He thrashes upward, blasting fire and screaming for help because the boy is biting his insides. Another dragon snaps that this is the king's trial. He has to win alone, and no one can interfere. Bridge 2, now watch this. Here's the moment our hero proves everyone wrong. He bursts through the beast's chest, realizing he's survived, he's won, and his mother might live. He lands. The king declares him a true member of the dragon's nest and names him Lord Cinder. The young man immediately asks if they will finally bring his mother home now. Instead, the king orders his men to take Sela's head to the mother oak immediately. He says the head will be grafted into the roots to create a wooden drake to resurrect his mother. At the console, he sees that even with the losses, he scored a huge victory. Sir Lin believes he's already set the stage to deal with any incoming adventurers. The console asks if he wants to run a simulation, and our hero confirms by hitting the button. Everyone erupts in cheers, celebrating their lord's success. He looks at the bodies and knows this is enough to evolve the surviving goblins into legends. After devouring the remains, the goblins hit level 50 and begin their massive evolution. One turns into a glutton king. Another becomes a giant hammer crusher with power levels reaching 1,000. The rest become dark shadow goblins with 1,200 power points. Lin knows this is exactly why the world hates them. Goblins have to consume to grow, unlike humans who just need to fight, and they don't care who they eat to do it. Bridge 3, you and I know this hero is full of surprises. Someone walks up and admits they didn't expect him to be this clever. The vampire princess mentions it's been ages since she tasted human blood. As a prize, she's found out exactly where the lady is hiding. Our hero demands that she tell him the location immediately. She explains that after the adventurers fell, the lady fled the city on horseback to summon a legendary party of knights. She warns him to be careful since she was once part of the Holy Sword. Our hero just smiles, saying he's ready for some fresh air outside. The vampire is stunned that he isn't afraid at all. He's actually looking forward to it. Suddenly, a scout comes sprinting in, shouting for his lord, saying something terrible has happened. A rival tribe of goblins is marching toward their cave, and our hero is caught completely off guard. He realizes no tribes should be within 100 miles and wonders if these were the cave's original owners. Nearby, enemy scouts begin scaling the walls. Our hero watches from the shadows with his elite guard. Below, an army gathers behind a massive beast leader. The level 50 monster barks orders to move fast and stop wasting time. Our hero wonders what this group is. The leader is strong, but a legend-like that shouldn't just be leading a small squad. He orders them taken alive. This could be a strike team from a much larger kingdom. His general nods and promises to handle it. The enemy goblins begin to wade through the water. One of the attackers pauses, asking what that strange smell is. The others claim they don't smell a thing. He figures some prey crawled into the cave for them to feast on. Suddenly, a blur of motion lunges at the leader. The big beast roars that they are under attack, and the tribe rallies to protect their lord. Another warrior bursts through the waterfall, and the attackers scream as a mutant beast charges them. The enemy leader goes ballistic, but in the next second, he watches his entire squad get absolutely demolished. A small scout bolts, screaming that their nest was taken and he has to tell his master, but a bolt snaps through the air and drops him. The whole group is neutralized. Bridge 4, and trust me, you and I know he's in trouble. Their leader curses, wondering how these low-level weaklings got so strong. All right, stick with me because Alaric is about to show zero mercy to these arrogant cowards rotting on the poisoned soil. A short while later, the beast chieftain is bound to a cold stone wall, howling like a caged animal to be set free. He snarls, wondering how a commoner dares look him in the eye, vowing to feast on his flesh. Alaric just smiles, ready to break him. The creature laughs at the threat, confident in his primal strength. He views our hero as nothing more than a stray dog. He thinks there is no reason to fear, but 10 minutes later, he is sobbing in terror among the blood-stained tools of the trade. He breaks instantly, begging for the pain to stop. Alaric demands to know his clan, their stronghold, and why they invaded these lands. The broken beast confesses he hails from the beast-born clan in the Shadow Wilds. This lair belonged to his master, and he was sent to reclaim a relic. Alaric asks about the power level of their tribal lord. He reveals it is a goblin lord on the verge of becoming a dominator. The party goes pale as he mentions their lord is desperate for the prize. He tells Alaric to see for himself if he doubts the truth. Our hero realizes it is the Soulbinder ring, a relic forged by an ancient ghoul king to trap the spirits of the strong. Alaric never expected such a legendary treasure to be hidden here. The creature begs for freedom now that he has confessed everything and handed over the prize. Alaric agrees and reaches out to grab the monster's hand. Now pay attention here, as Alaric uses that magic ring to rip the creature's soul right out of its body without a second thought. The monster screams in absolute despair as Alaric begins to absorb its essence. His power level surges by 200 points. It is a small gain, but he knows he can harvest even stronger spirits later. The beast clans are as strong as any human kingdom, and he realizes he can use them as pawns against his rivals. While he plans, the elven scout mentions she knows of the beast-born clan. Alaric is surprised, but she explains their terrifying reputation is common knowledge. In a hushed voice, she warns him that they are not to be crossed. The tribe serves the Mausoleum of Elders, a power so vast that even the Leonhardt kingdom would crumble before their full might. Alaric is intrigued by this mysterious mausoleum as the woman stares at the remains. She explains they rule thousands of miles of the wilds, guarded by a monster of the 12th rank, a true god of destruction. You and I can see Alaric's gears turning here. He finally understands the situation and asks the woman to help him control the creature with his power. Alaric wants the scout to return to the Beastborn and report that the precious ring was stolen from them. But with a twist, he wants to frame the royal lords of the Leonhardt kingdom for the theft, sparking a war between the two powers. The woman is stunned by his sheer audacity. Alaric plans to use the confusion to launch an ambush, taking their leader hostage for more power. He loves playing the role of the hidden fisherman. Later, inside the halls of the Leonhardt capital, a high-ranking noble berates his son, shouting that his failures have brought deep shame to the family name and their ancestral crest. The young knight tries to explain that these goblins are tactical geniuses. He reveals the elite squad was slaughtered and his own cousin is missing. The old count is furious, demanding to know how a future heir could be defeated by mere monsters, while the entire court laughs. The young men collapse to the floor, desperately begging for one last chance. He cries out that the goblin leader is a monster, but his father calls him a pathetic, weak coward. Suddenly, a mysterious guest approaches the count, promising to help restore the family's honor and clean up the mess they made. Still fuming, the count asks what he wants, noting the king has ordered the army to stay in reserve for the coming winter. He mentions the king has already summoned the Holy Order, questioning what a few rogue mercenaries could possibly achieve. The man laughs, saying the count thinks too small. If the Holy Order solves this, the crown will see the Thorn family as useless. Lord Thorn begins to sweat over that terrifying thought. The plan is to send the son to the king with a plea for help. If every noble brings 1,000 men, the goblins are dead. The atmosphere in the room turns heavy as the man smiles. The count finally agrees, dragging his useless son along for the ride. Back at the lair, the goblins cower as a prisoner screams in fear. Alaric has just shot an apple off the man's head. Alaric is impressed by the flintlock's power, while his elven companion watches with wide eyes, desperate to try the new weapon. She begs him for a lesson, and he finally sighs and agrees to teach her. And that's where we leave it, with two massive armies closing in from both sides. You and I are definitely going to want to see what happens next. All right, let's see how Lin's grand master plan actually unfolds today. The monster tells the High Chieftain that the human knights stole the ancient ring. He almost got it back, but the chieftain just calls him useless trash and kicks him aside. Consumed by hatred, the beast roars. The chieftain orders the entire horde to march, determined to crush the humans and reclaim his precious ring at any cost. Meanwhile, the kingdom's banners fly high as the battalion prepares for war. In the capital, the commoners cheer as the powerful counts arrive to lead them. Baron Stammen demands to know where the saint's holy sword is. The squire claims she's busy with errands, then questions why two high-ranking counts have suddenly shown up. The count sneers, saying since the saint isn't here, he has zero intention of wasting time talking to a lowly squire. The man barks back that he's a legendary dragon slayer who fought beside her. The count just smiles, changing his tone to say they're strictly here to exterminate the goblin pests. Suddenly, a scout screams that something is wrong. Green skins burst from the shadows in a frantic charge. The terrified soldiers can't fathom how the monsters managed to slip past the city's massive stone walls. Cursing the filth, the count orders his knights to slaughter every single one of them. High atop his warhorse, he leads the charge with surprising bravery. For now, the knights have the upper hand. Even the guy everyone thought was a total loser is actually holding his own in the heat of battle. Now watch this, our protagonist finally steps in, looking way too calm. The count laughs, wondering how these pathetic creatures could ever be considered a threat. He predicts the skirmish will be over in less than an hour. But then, a horse is suddenly sent flying across the battlefield like a toy. Our hero freezes as a colossal shadow looms over them. It's the beast King Goblin, a level 79 nightmare with a combat power of 3,000. He's horrified by how overwhelming and revolting the creature looks. The Count immediately loses his cool, screaming for all units to retreat at once. He gasps, wondering what this monster is, just as elite reinforcements finally arrive. Lorna, the Count's fiery cousin, vows her squad will take down the giant while the infantry handles the rest. The Count mocks her, warning her not to fail like her pathetic brother. She leads a desperate charge against the behemoth, but the Beast King doesn't even flinch when their blades strike its thick, iron-like hide. The monster begins hunting the knights exactly as Lin planned. Our hero realizes this is going south fast. If they keep retreating this way, they'll walk right into his tribe's territory. He watches from afar, knowing the girl is walking into a trap far worse than she realizes. Just outside the city gates, the massive beast begins to completely dominate the fight. The squad snarls that they'll pull its teeth as a trophy, while their leader shouts for them to stay focused. They just need one single opening for Lorna to deliver the final strike. Staring death in the eye, the girl tells herself that failure is simply not an option. As the Academy's star pupil, she unleashes a high-level martial arts technique, but the monster just laughs and counters with an earth-shattering blow of its own. Our hero is actually impressed. Their power levels are nothing compared to the monster, yet they're somehow keeping the beast at bay. The Goblin King is livid that a mere human dared to scratch him. He shifts his stance and prepares to unleash a devastating hidden ability. Oh, let that sink in for a second. The beast finally unleashes its terrifying king's roar. High above, a dragon rider is nearly knocked out of the sky by the impact. The sound wave is far more violent than anything he's ever experienced before. The dragon, Cheyenne, panics from the acoustic blast, but his rider tries to steady him. Below, the sound force brings warriors to their knees. Knights collapse unconscious all around the fallen soldiers. Lorna looks at her defeated squad and wonders how a mere goblin could possess such godlike strength. Pure despair washes over her as she realizes she's beaten. Thinking of her father and her mentor, she stares at her broken sword in total disbelief. The massive beast towers over her with murderous eyes. Paralyzed by fear, she loses control of herself and lets out a desperate prayer for someone to save her. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream echoes through the dense forest. A distant search party hears the cry and immediately recognizes Lorna's voice. Fearing the worst, a soldier begs His Highness to stay calm as they rush toward the sound. As the commanders arrive, they think the situation is under control. But then, a figure shrouded in a dark red aura emerges. It's the Beast King himself. He's not alone, either. He's dragging the young woman along, and she looks completely lifeless. One of the men screams when he finally spots her. Enraged, the father demands the beast return his daughter immediately. His lieutenant urges him to stay back, claiming they've almost won the overall battle. The Goblin King stands still, almost as if he's waiting for them. The human commander leaps forward, swinging his claymore with everything he's got. The monster just grins and winds up a massive fist. When the punch connects with the earth, the shockwave sends the man flying. He ends up face down in the mud as the beast continues its rampage. The remaining soldiers close in with shields raised, desperately jabbing their spears at the monster. A warrior screams for the hero to land the finishing blow. Focusing all his mana, the hero creates a massive, swirling ball of fire. The flames spin violently in his palms. He uses a soldier's shield as a springboard, launching himself high into the air above the beast. His attack narrowly misses the monster's face, exploding into a blinding white flash of pure magical energy that illuminates the entire field. Thinking their leader is dead, the goblins begin to flee. The hero drops down, exhausted. He looks at the Beast King and lets out a sharp snort. And trust me, you and I are going to want to see why he's laughing like a madman. Stick with me, you're about to watch a hero realize that overconfidence is a death sentence. He turns his back, but his allies aren't celebrating. Somehow, despite the clean hit, the beast is still standing. Now it's the goblin's turn. It lunges to swallow him whole, and he realizes it's the end. The creature snaps its jaws shut with a sickening crunch, ending the poor man's life. It loves the snack and is already hunting for more. The knights watch in absolute horror. They call for Sir Julian to step up, wondering if this green skin has actually started to evolve. The beast raises an arm covered in rows of teeth. Its face twists, looking even more monstrous as its fangs grow longer. It mutated into a level 80 brutal goblin. Its power hit 3,100, standing as tall as a Grand Duke. Even with this evolution, its actual combat power shouldn't skyrocket that much in such a short amount of time. But it's already terrifying as it prepares for another snack. Now, pay attention here, this is where it gets crazy. As the soldiers are swallowed, it's game over. That beast wiped out the strongest ones. Someone has to stop this brutality before our hero's tribe is erased. Then the monster crushes one of its own followers. Desperate, the little goblin swears he won't run away. The tribal chief yells at the others, shaking with fear, commanding them to stand their ground. Anyone who retreats will face a brutal punishment. The monster snarls at the pack that still flees. They sprint straight toward the knights as the chaos erupts. The order is given: retreat to the city and lock the gates. The goblin army keeps charging, and the beast screams for them to let no one escape. Leo watches from above. They're heading for the city walls. Looks like he has a plan in mind. He puts his hand to his mouth and whistles, commanding his dragon. The goblins are ordered to capture everyone on the ground immediately. Suddenly, a massive flash erupts in the distance. Lightning streaks low across the muddy battlefield. The young man wonders if his rival has returned, then orders his group to hurry. Inside the castle, the situation is looking grim. The tribal chief tells them to leave, promising to make his own end quick. The prisoner snaps that he doesn't have the ring, so just get it over with. He's annoyed. Negotiating with these creatures is a complete waste of time. Not so fast, the creature mutters, vanishing like a blur. A heartbeat later, it's clutching that knight in its massive hand. It demands to know why the human said he didn't have the ring. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning slams into the beast with a direct hit. The creature roars as a sword points right at its throat. Wounded, it watches its attacker land directly in front. A figure rests calmly on the weapon. It's a man balanced on the very tip of the blade on one foot. Now, you and I both saw that coming, right? That strange blue power catches the chief off guard as it wraps around the beast. Someone grips a weapon tightly. The man in charge is Sir Cedric, a spearman with a dark shadow pulsing over his arm. More heroes join the fray. Emma arrives with Austin, who asks if all this flashy drama is really necessary. Choking back tears, a man announces the Divine Blade has arrived alongside the elite members of the Hunters Guild. Meanwhile, in the city, Leo watches from the shadows. He didn't expect the guild to show up, and it totally ruins his plan for that goblin. The battle rages fiercely in the middle of the crowded city streets. That bizarre monster charges forward, unable to tell friend from foe. After eating its own kin, it shows a savage new ability. Consuming its own kind heals it rapidly. Leo is surprised by the talent, but judging by those deep wounds, it'll take a while to fully recover. He's actually quite satisfied with this result. The knights mutter that the monster survived a direct hit to the neck, but it's a Lord-class beast, so it'll take much more. The creature tells them to wait, claiming it's just a simple goblin that doesn't want to fight. If they let it return to the ancient crypt, it'll ensure the tribes never return. The Divine Blade asks if it's from the crypt. The beast says yes, and blames the knight for taking the ring, but the man swears he never stole anything from trash mobs. The Divine Blade feels something is wrong. It all seems to lead back to that one troublesome guy. Austin asks who she's talking about. She says the creature is from the ancient crypt, which is way too far away for this to feel natural. They ask if she thinks this was a setup to leave both sides bleeding and broken on the ground. Her companion asks if a goblin could even be that smart. She doesn't care. It killed Sir Stanley, and there's no going back. Austin grins, totally fired up, and asks to handle the monster alone. The beast starts to get nervous. Suddenly, a whirlwind of energy explodes in the center of the crowd. The beast shields itself and uses the chaos to escape. The divine blade covers her face, realizing where the energy is coming from. The dragon flies overhead, and there's our hero again. Leo thinks that goblin would make a great snack, and it'd be a waste if it died here, so he's going to help it escape. He orders his dragon to chase the goblin. And that's where we leave it, trust me, you'll want to see what happens next. All right, you and I are about to dive into a tale of betrayal, ancient magic, and one man's legendary rise. She rains down a flurry of strikes on Sir Alaric, but he commands his dragon to dive as she clings tightly to his tail. He knows those blows won't kill him, but they will surely cause him quite a headache. With no options left, the Holy Knight watches the beast escape, screaming she will hunt it across the kingdom. Alaric senses her strength and decides he will deal with this highborn warrior when the odds are better. A massive brute crashes through the Blackwood forest, hiding among the splintered oaks to catch its breath. But inside the heavy shadows, it catches a scent, the stench of other monsters. It remembers the thief stealing the royal signet and realizes the human might still be hiding nearby. The brute smashes a heavy fist into the stone wall, splintering a path through the dark. Inside, the wood elves huddle. One wants to fight, but the other reminds him of the Lord's orders. Just then, the beast hunter shows up and tells them all to remain calm and stay back. She insists she trusts him, believing their champion would never let any harm reach them. Now pay attention, because this is the moment our hero's luck almost runs out. He declares the hunt is over. His dragon exhales flame before Alaric readies his weapon to strike. The monster leaps through the fire, slamming into the dragon with a bone-shattering, direct hit. Smoke fills the air, building the tension. Through the haze, the beast spots the signet ring shimmering on Alaric's finger. It snarls, demanding to know how a lowly peasant stole the crown jewel of its people. Our hero just smirks, waving the ring. He asks what the monster plans to do about it. Blinded by rage, the beast lunges. Alaric sidesteps as the ground shatters beneath the monster's weight. Alaric sidesteps easily. He mocks the brute, asking how that massive body could ever hope to keep up with his speed. He strikes back, suddenly awakening a brand new forbidden technique, the echoing howl. The beast roars, while the beastkin tremble in fear. Alaric unleashes the new power with a shout. A wave of energy blasts the monster into the dirt, leaving it broken as Alaric approaches. The gamble paid off, but suddenly a massive fist caves into Alaric's ribs, sending him flying backward across the ruins. The brute keeps swinging, hammering away with punch after punch, while Alaric barely keeps his guard up. He checks his status. The monster's power is over 2100, but it is still wounded from battle. The creature is stunned he is standing, convinced the boy's meal is fueling unnatural strength. You saw that coming, didn't you? One clean strike to turn the tide. A moment later, the great, brutal beast collapses into the dust once more. No more food to recover. Alaric thinks the beast is finished, telling the monster he is only sparing its life because it's the last one left. Lady Alara asks if they should bind its soul to the ring, but the plan failed. Outside forces interfered, and now Alaric's secret identity has been revealed to the entire world. He ignores the Earthstriders nearby, who could track them anywhere. Lady Alara watches him closely and asks for the next move in their dangerous plan. Alaric wonders if he can frame the lords of the ancient vaults for the beast's crimes. Alara warns him that tangling with those dark sorcerers is a very dangerous game. But Alaric insists it is their only shot, sliding the signet ring onto his finger. He tells her to bait the sorcerers with the ring, leading them straight into a trap. She agrees, using her magic to force the fallen beast back to its feet. The brute rises like a puppet, swearing to serve its master and fulfill the king's decree. Deep in the wilderness, the rest of the war band continues their grim, bloody feast. Alaric's mark shows he's gained 300 health, enough to summon a Tier 6 knight who will obey his every command. He thinks of his own safety, but a Tier 6 summon is barely equal to a brute, and Seraphina could easily slay 3 of those alone. Better to focus on his own skills and reach the next level of divine power. Wicked Fusion allows him to steal stats from his fallen foes, while Ruined Strike can shatter ancient holy defenses, weakening his enemies while dealing massive, crushing damage. So, which path would you and I choose? In this world, ultimate power always comes with a heavy price. Alright, you and I are about to see if Ruin can actually shatter the divine system, but he is missing a monster vessel for the fusion. The Ruin exchange worked. The vessel gained the miracle of life, restoring 3,000 health. Lady Alara is shocked by the results, while the greenskins remain completely clueless about the magic used. This fixes the issue with their bloodline. Even the manor maids are asking the master what exactly is going on. The young lady asks for a favor, but the man flatly refuses, telling her to stay quiet for a while. That human stole 2 legendary blades and is wreaking havoc. Battered and broken, the knight begs his family for forgiveness for his failures. As the lord approaches the cell, a prisoner falls to his knees, desperately chanting the master's name over and over. Fading fast, he asks if his father is alive. Sadly, the High Overlord already crushed his father and his sister. Lord Linton laughs as the broken man mutters that he never should have challenged him or tried to act clever. He hopes she is still breathing and can be rescued from this nightmare later. Now watch this. Suddenly, he sprints forward and slams his head into the stone wall, collapsing onto the cold floor. Linton notes the torture was legendary and wonders why the man wouldn't just surrender. He admits his own hatred has finally cooled and hopes the blade will end the man's suffering at last. Time passes. Later, deep in the ancestral woods, a scout calls for Duke Noth, leader of the Great Beast clan, asking if the master is home. Suddenly, a massive claw appears, terrifying the scout. An enormous titan slowly emerges from the shadows of the cave. Demanding answers, the scout explains he only wanted to reclaim what the humans stole. This giant beast is the legendary Ghost Minotaur. He claims the artifact was forged by his own kin, and returning it to him is only right. The creature looms over him. The massive titan inspects the ring and asks what the small creature truly desires. Standing before the towering beast, the scout begs for his powerful assistance. He mentions a pact with the holy cathedral prevents entering human lands, but promises to help the small one become a high lord. He tells him to seek vengeance against the kingdom, promising that the immortals will support him. It has been far too long since he tasted human flesh. Back at the hideout, pay attention to the screen. Our hero checks his status crystal and sees he is now level 70. Despite his intense training, the Holy Blade has over 4,000 power. He realizes he will need more than just luck to win. But he is close. Together, they have forged an entire legion of legendary heroes for the war. He can finally step out from the shadows. Suddenly, the huntress warns him that the savage chieftain has reached the cave entrance. As our hero prepares to leave, the lady asks him to wait for a moment. She embraces him, asking to join the raid on Sterling City, but he refuses, stating his only goal is to break the Holy Blade. If things go south and he has to retreat, anyone else tagging along would just be a burden. She warns the chieftain to obey her orders, or she will personally ensure he suffers a fate worse than death. Lady Alara laughs, wondering who will truly be punishing whom. She watches him walk away, her eyes filled with pure excitement. Our hero approaches the massive chieftain and asks if the companion he seeks is just a sickly little green skin. The giant monsters just glare at him, looking like a pack of demons that specialize in devouring human souls whole. He realizes this phoenix-glass chieftain is a serious threat, and the situation is quickly turning for the worse. The creature tells Master Noth not to worry since the goblin's power is immense. He demands he stop talking and lead the way. Our hero watches in silence. Elsewhere, monsters prepare for war, warned about a legendary sword maiden who is truly unstoppable in battle. The beast scoffs, craving tough meat. Suddenly, a massive earthquake rattles the entire region. The guards are confused until they see a stampede of ghost minotaurs charging. Panic spreads through the ranks like wildfire. Screams fill the city. Our hero wonders if they are actually scary, but decides the cunning greenskins are far worse. Alara believes the city will soon be his. The Minotaurs enjoy the chaos, hungry for the taste of fresh human meat. Just as a beast is about to feed, a thunderous strike slams it into the dirt. The survivor looks up to see a group of elite knights and the Holy Blade herself. The commander asks why there are so many monsters. Another knight recognizes the intruder from the ancestral tomb. They should have ended him right then and there. The Holy Blade admits it was her own failure. Resolved, she vows to fix her mistake and charges the beast. She carves through the ghost minotaurs with blinding speed. Trust me, you and I are about to see a real clash. The monster strikes while she is distracted, but she emerges from the dust, blocking the blow. All right, you and I are about to dive into a story where the hero isn't exactly the good guy. Then he spots a knight, staring down a massive, savage beast in the middle of the arena. The man sinks into the ground, swearing revenge. Our main character realizes this is his perfect opening. He fires a barrage of projectiles, direct hit. The knight falls and the beast moves in for the kill. Sir Marshall's companion, an elven archer, tries to help, but a magic vortex swallows every single arrow she fires. She's stunned, but our hero steps out of the dark. Don't worry, he says, I've got some sharp skills too. He orders the beast to leave the knight to him and assist the ghosts. The monster actually obeys his command. He approaches the fallen man, licking his lips before using his devour skill. The elven lady watches in absolute horror. Nearby, a veteran slays a phantom bull. He charges our hero with a master technique, but he doesn't even flinch. At the final second, he slips away. The old knight's rage reaches its absolute boiling point. Now pay attention. Our main character unleashes an ultimate skill to consume his enemies, while the elf watches from above in total despair. With the veteran defeated, the elven maiden can't believe her powerful allies fell so easily to this mysterious foe. He hits level 75, feeling a power surge. Just then, a well-aimed arrow rips right through his shoulder. He's caught off guard and spots another projectile flying straight for his head at high speed. He barely evades the volley. He knows he's lucky, but the elf isn't stopping until he is finally dead. Using a stone wall for cover, he orders his minion to bring down the massive tower. The monster slams into the masonry with terrifying force, sending the whole structure crashing down toward the earth. The elf realizes she needs to escape, but he's already firing his crossbow to cut her off. She flinches, but manages to leap back, narrowly avoiding the bolt as she retreats across the ruins. He sees her escape and decides to wait for her cooldowns to reset before making his next move. She readies another shot, warning him he can't hide. He dodges desperately until he feels a shift. The elf is at her limit. Her strength fails, and she collapses onto the cold ground in exhaustion. The beast moves in to finish her, but he snaps at him to back off. This one belongs to him. He stands over her, impressed by her spirit. It'd be a shame to just eat you, he muses. He scoops her up and carries her off. Later, she wakes up in a strange place, panicking. I know what you're thinking. Things just took a very dark turn for her, didn't they? Terrified, she asks what he's done to her. He just smiles and says she'll find out soon. Elsewhere, the holy saint battles the phantom bulls. She secures another victory, calling them tough. Then, a massive explosion echoes through the city. She finds Lady Emma about to end her life and rushes to stop her just in time. The elf weeps, saying everyone else is gone. She begs Lady Alice to avenge her and get revenge before she finally dies. The monsters mock them, claiming whoever devours her will be crowned as their new chief. But the saint stands tall, her eyes glowing with fury. She swears they'll all pay with their lives. Suddenly, she plunges her own blade into her chest. The guards and monsters freeze in shock. She rockets into the sky, overflowing with holy energy. As the count demands answers, she orders every soldier to leave the area immediately. The army scatters in total chaos. They scream that she has become more terrifying than any monster. Meanwhile, in another district, our hero senses a massive shift. He looks up and sees the saint's transformation. That massive holy pressure, it's a total disaster. The phantom bulls try to flee, but the power is overwhelming. The holy saint strikes them down with her holy inquisition. The creatures are vaporized as a massive crater is torn into the heart of the city. She descends, returning to normal. Her power level reads 5,000. The entire district is in ruins. He realizes he barely escaped that blast. How can a swordswoman fight like a high-tier mage? He's stunned by the invincible holy sword who protects the kingdom. The surviving soldiers cheer for their savior. But she winces from her self-inflicted wound, and we see her combat power drop to 2,500. He looks on, satisfied. The saint whispers that the real murderer is still out there somewhere. She reaches for a potion, but a strike slams in, and trust me, you're going to want to see what happens next. All right, you and I are about to witness the moment our hero reveals himself atop the tower, only to be called a despicable coward. He tells her to heal up while he handles the rest. When the man shouts despicable and charges, Alaric just laughs. Within a second, the knight is floored. Our hero tells him that wasn't exactly the word he was looking for right now. No, he wants to know if the man realized he was facing a goblin. The knight can barely process the truth. The battalion surges forward to avenge their duke, but our hero drives straight through their ranks, cutting them down like wheat. A soldier screams to hold the line. They need to buy time for the holy sword to recover her strength. He rallies them to fight with their hearts, but then something sharp and cold punches straight through his heavy armor. Suddenly, our hero is right there, his hand buried in the man's chest. He whispers that the soldier is finally free, but he's taking his heart. In a heartbeat, the high-ranking knight is completely broken and defeated. With a hole through his plate, the holy sword goes berserk and charges. He tries to counter, but she's lightning fast. She snaps out a kick that sends him flying, even after he manages a desperate block. Watch closely, because even weakened, she's a monster. He's forced to trigger a power that hits everyone on the field. She flinches but strikes back with pure energy. He dodges easily, realizing his typical monster skills won't work on her soul. This attrition will kill them both, and her holy nature gives her the ultimate edge to suppress his dark power. She lunges to settle this forever, but Alaric just mocks her, asking if she enjoys the bitter taste of utter failure. She leaps, screaming for him to shut up. Her strike hits nothing but air as she frantically scans for the vanished goblin. She orders a full regroup to kill him, but our hero just hurls a screaming soldier right at her face. Using the flying body as a distraction, the goblin leader rushes in and begins dropping the surrounding knights one by one. He's got the speed advantage and keeps using human shields. The woman chases him, cursing his filthy, dishonorable tactics. He's wearing her down to prepare a final ruin spell. After an hour of combat, the dying soldiers actually beg her for death. Our hero suggests they call it a day, while a broken soldier mutters that his life is over either way. The woman's rage peaks as she attacks again, but he just grabs another knight to use as a meat shield. His plan is working. She's losing her mind, attacking recklessly while he uses her own men to absorb every single blow. Trust me, this is brutal. Alaric tells her she's actually better at slaughtering her own people than she is at monsters. The horror finally hits her. She drops her sword, realizing she's butchered the very people she swore to protect. Her spirit is shattered. This is the moment he's been waiting for. He begins channeling his devastating ruin attack. In a flash, he lands a direct hit to her heart. She collapses as rain falls and her holy power dissipates. She begs the heavens for mercy, asking if the gods have truly abandoned her, before finally losing consciousness in the dirt. He knows the truth. Once the ruin contaminates her soul, her connection to the sacred light is severed forever. He imagines her by his side, helping him crush these religious lies and bringing this entire world under his control. As lightning tears through the sky, our hero prepares to begin the next stage of his dark evolution. A mutant scout rushes over, warning that the church is approaching. The goblin leader feels a sudden, sharp pang of unease. While he's catching his breath, The church's elite army finally arrives, the bishops of the Holy Cross. He stands tall before the fallen. Their commander looks down at the fallen girl, assuming she's just another victim of a tragic accident on the road. He dismisses our hero as just a lowly goblin, though he knows that weak appearances can hide terrifying, dark potential. Typical zealot, he orders his men to march in the name of God and bring their version of peace to earth. Glowing with sacred power, they shout to purge the devil. The knights charge, and even our hero feels the pressure. They attack relentlessly while he holds his barrier. Even in full plate armor, these fanatics move with incredible, supernatural speed. His terminal shows their strength is at 3,000. He dodges every strike, realizing these knights are the real deal. He has no intention of retreating. Instead, he begins gathering energy for a massive, secondary ruin strike. He strikes one of them down, and the others freeze in shock. The knight screams as his power drains away in absolute terror. He uses the chaos to make a break for it. To them, he's no longer just a monster, he's a demon. Alaric panics at their 3,000 power rating. It's time to scrap the plan and get the hell out of there. The commander calls for a withdrawal. The girl needs a priest's cleansing immediately, or her soul will be lost forever. And that's where we leave it, because according to the bishop, it's already way too late to stop the goblin plague. All right, you and I are diving into a world where the High Bishop claims the Divine Father has chosen a new vessel, so there is no point in searching for her anymore. Moments later, our champion successfully makes his escape. He sees the scorched remains of the fallen, but the spectral bull still lies there, ready for harvesting. Back at the stronghold, the maidens ask if he triumphed, noticing his power has surged once again. Lady Lenore reveals the truth. The legendary blessed blade belongs to him now. The huntress asks if he truly conquered and broke her spirit, and he confirms his total victory. He curses the Holy Order for ruining his peace. Suddenly, the woman pounces, declaring he is the perfect specimen and she wants him for herself. He begs for a moment of silence because he has something vital to share. He explains that this victory bought them time, but they need a hidden sanctuary to avoid the kingdom's inevitable wrath and revenge. Pay attention here, they are heading to a place no knight dares enter, the Great Mausoleum. Soon, the entire tribe prepares for the exodus while our hero watches. He knows that within those walls, he can multiply his legion of goblins. Since the Order has a secret pact with the mausoleum, they will be safe. But now he needs more women. He tells his warriors the goal is to take captives. Anyone resisting, do with them as you please. Days later, they have seized 230 women, but that is not nearly enough. He targets more settlements, eventually reaching a defenseless town. He marches toward the gates, ordering his monstrous army to keep moving forward and show no mercy. One peasant scoffs at the mere goblins. Another brags about killing mountains of the green filth. A knight mocks the fear of monsters and is ordered to hold the main gate. They say the threat is real, but a man laughs it off as a joke. He claims he could even take down a legendary hero. Now, you and I know this level 50 sellsword is about to regret every word. A sentry screams that the monsters are coming, and the townspeople scramble for steel. One suggests a kill count game with a punishment for the loser. The sellsword says he can handle this alone and tells the rest to go home. Then the sky turns dark and terror strikes. The man looks up to see a massive dragon descending. Our hero arrives on dragonback while the village trembles, wondering how lowly goblins tamed a beast of legend. Soldiers flee in absolute horror, realizing the legends were lies, and these are true monsters from hell. Our hero finds their resistance amusing and gives the command to strike. Within moments, the city is bathed in fire and blood. A villager screams for that brave sellsword who promised to protect them all. But the coward is hiding under a table, trembling. A creature finds him and humbles him instantly, leaving him broken while mocking his pathetic boast about having fun. Later, a horde of monstrosities gathers at the border. A massive avian guardian asks if they are ready for the mausoleum, warning that the scent of humans will attract predators for miles. Lady Lenore admits their stench is overwhelming. It is no wonder people are terrified of this place if it smells like death and prey. He tells the beast to thank his master this time, fulfilling the promise he made before. The guardian is shocked by the sheer number of humans he brought. He asks if they are all just tools for the tribe, reminding him of the delicate treaty between the mausoleum and the order. Our hero tells him not to worry, they were already captured. The bird approves, offering help if he has questions. He promises to ensure the tribe can grow in peace within these cursed halls. Lady Lenore thanks the guardian for his kindness, telling him he is always welcome to return to their camp. The beast warns things will get complicated soon, and he must alert the high masters of their arrival. Our hero is finally satisfied. He turns to Garrick and asks for the final head count of their new subjects. There are 3,000, but more are on the way. Sadly, none of the mutated or dominant test subjects survived the recent trials. He realizes he cannot force the evolution of those rare species yet, so he steps out of the hut. Now, they must hunt wild beasts to bolster the numbers of their low-level goblin infantry. He decides to use his divination ritual instead of hunting manually. He activates the power, and the oracle reveals a vision. He captures beasts for food and evolution, but is horrified when the ritual shows his own tribe being ambushed by human knights. He cannot believe they dared to invade the mausoleum. Then the vision turns into a nightmare. He is forced to flee with only a handful of survivors. Defeated, he knows he needs a way to prevent this. He turns to his generals and asks for the location of the human noble houses. And that is where we leave it. He is heading for the high forest, ready to settle the score forever. Trust me, you and I are not ready for what comes next. Stick with me. We're diving into a world of broken ancient contracts. But our hero warns that an army is closing in on the horizon, and despite their truce, they're likely to attack him anyway. The creature understands his concern, but insists no human will ever be permitted to step foot inside the hallowed tomb. He takes flight to report the news, promising a later meeting. Sir Leon and his knights declare they've come to wipe out the goblins once and for all. They are dead set on invading the tomb, and every soldier echoes that bloodlust. A dragon soars above, and the commander spots a goblin rider, realizing it perfectly matches the intelligence reports they received. He wonders if that rider is the infamous Goblin Lord, who leveled dozens of prosperous towns and villages. Our hero calls down to them, asking if they have forgotten the sacred pact between the church and the tomb. The man yells back that he's just a stray rat, and they won't need a contract once he's dead in the dirt. He gestures to the massive army behind him, shouting that they are here to avenge Lady Alice and his fallen grandfather. Now pay attention, because our hero starts mocking him by bringing up the legendary Holy Sword. The noble vows to turn everyone to ash, leaving our hero surprised by how easily his temper flared up. A knight advises caution since the scouts haven't returned, fearing that a blind charge could be a fatal mistake. But Sir Leon ignores the warning, pointing toward a lone figure and asking if that's the missing scout. Just 10 minutes earlier, the scouts were stunned by the sheer number of enslaved humans in the camp, only to be caught by a group of goblins. The commander barks out orders for every troop to move out and slaughter every single goblin in their path. The young noble screams at his men, demanding to know if they're afraid. He boasts that this is the price for crossing a lion, right before a massive, powerful bird creature descends from the heavens. The youth shrieks that it's the legendary man-eating eagle and warns his soldiers to stay on high alert. The eagle guardian notes it has been ages since he saw the church, asking if they've already forgotten the terms of their contract. A knight claims these are the Pope's direct orders, but the guardian snaps that the knight is too arrogant and prepares to crush him. The knight declares he is here to wipe out every goblin, and he doesn't care who dies. If the bird man interferes, he's dead. He spurs his steed and commands the entire army to charge forward. The guardian rises, disgusted that these humans treat the hallowed tomb like a common tavern they can just wander into. The knight asks if the tomb has sided with the goblins, and the eagle man says he can believe whatever he likes. The knight goes silent, eventually telling the king to pull back, though his majesty is still bloodthirsty and wants the guardian's head. The knight clarifies it's not a retreat, but a tactical regroup for a much larger confrontation. From the sky, our hero watches the retreating army, amazed the Lord caused such a massive mess just for his sake. The guardian explains this isn't just about him, but a show of force against the church. Apparently, many within the tomb are eager for war. He tells the hero to expand his tribe quickly, for only a true goblin king can enter the royal sepulchre. You and I can see the chaos brewing. As the hero plans his rise, the church is outside demanding a bloody execution for the goblins. They call the holy woman disgusting and refuse to believe she's sacred. The high official is losing his mind over this goblin crisis, while others whisper that he's trapped between the princess and the mob. He storms to Alice's chambers and yanks the door open, only to freeze in pure, unadulterated rage at the sight inside. The princess is actually nursing a young goblin child, and the official fumes, regretting that he didn't execute the little beast before she was corrupted. He orders her to move before he strikes the child down with his blade. She steps in the way, catching the sharp steel with her bare hands and demanding to know what the king is doing. He claims his actions are for the empire's future, insisting he must force her back onto the path of righteousness. She draws her own weapon and stands her ground, leaving him shocked that she would actually dare to defy him like this. Suddenly, a massive wave of holy energy blasts into her, a strike so fast that even the king didn't see it coming. The cardinal appears, revealing he used high-tier holy magic to conjure iron bars and trap the princess in a cage. His Majesty tells the cardinal he can handle this, demanding the old man look at her state. Desperate, she screams that she'll accept any divine punishment since her power is gone, but the cardinal says God didn't leave her. He tells Princess Alice that she abandoned God and commands her to hand over the young goblin. And that's where we leave it, with a mother screaming as holy power is forced into her child while the people cheer. You and I are about to see a kingdom fall into chaos as the peasants demand the saintly blade, tossing a child at their feet. A soldier declares the task is finished. He warns that anyone speaking ill of the saintly blade will pay a heavy price for their treason. The restless, scared crowd goes silent. By sunrise, news reaches King Alaric that Alice has vanished. He panics, unaware that a mutated goblin is celebrating elsewhere in the woods. The beast can finally weave magic. The rest of the tribe gets hyped, talking about devouring more meat to grow their strength even further. Our hero shuts them down. They need to strike first to evolve, but the others are too terrified to leave the safety of their den. Leo asks if they actually feel safe here. Desperate, they agree to move out before the boss loses his mind and kills them all. Another creature offers to help release that dormant power. Our hero realizes they just want a free meal without doing any of the work. Suddenly, something catches his eye. His ally, Lord Aquila, arrives and mentions he has a powerful noble he wants to recommend as a leader. Our hero is down to meet more lords. Honestly, he just wants more people he can shift the blame onto later if things fail. Aquila hopes he does not mind the guest. Standing right behind him is the formidable Lord Drake of the Golden Lizard Men. Pay attention, this lizard is level 88 with power near 4,000. Still, our hero is not impressed at all. He asks if the beast likes humans. Drake suggests they split the catch, but Aquila looks at him with pure doubt and questions his greed. He reminds him of the promise to only accept one once he was accepted himself. The lizard claims everything here, mocking the worth of a goblin. But Aquila snaps back, declaring himself the final authority in this entire region. The beast tells him to stop playing around. He points out that Aquila never eats humans and claims he is only being fair with them. He wants to feast now. Our hero interrupts, telling him to back off since he probably could not handle that much meat anyway. Lord Drake snaps, wondering how an inferior creature dares to speak to a high lord like him. Aquila steps in front of our hero. He gives one last warning, leave now, or you will not be coming back in one piece. The scaly noble offers a deal. He will kill the goblin for them, and then they can share the human spoils together. Aquila strikes first. Furious, the lizard retreats, swearing that once Aquila is gone, he will return to destroy every single one of them. The beast flees, and Aquila apologizes. He had no idea the lizard was harboring such dangerous and greedy ambitions for this land. He wonders what the leader of the Great Vault would do if he actually wanted that arrogant guy dead right now. They could execute him for his crimes, or let him seize control of the lizard men's southern territories as a new lord. Thinking it over, our hero realizes he could summon myths, but he would lose the freedom to hunt monsters whenever he liked. Okay, I know what you're thinking. He would never lead them. Meanwhile, his minions evolve and he feels his own power surging inside. He tests his strength on the massive trees. He is thrilled to see just how much he has grown in such a short time. Nearby, a small creature approaches the lake to drink. Suddenly, a hand bursts from the water and drags it into the dark depths. Someone notes it was young, but already 1 meter long. It tastes great and smells almost as sweet as fresh human meat. Just like that, the hunter gets a devious idea on how to trap even more food for the starving tribe. Over in the lizard village, a scout complains that the lady's son is wandering around and bound to get caught eventually. She laughs it off, trusting her lord husband. Suddenly, a voice from the brush asks if they are looking for someone special. A skeleton is tossed at her feet. She freezes in horror and screams, demanding to know who dares invade a lord's territory. The goblin looks her over. He tells her to forget the questions because she is actually quite pretty for a lizard. An armored guard rushes in, screaming at him for disrespecting the high lady of the manor. The guard lunges, but a mutant goblin drops him instantly. It is clear the goblins are taking the upper hand in this fight. The woman screams for help, while the goblin claims he is taking her to the boss. The tribe realizes they are being invaded. With their lord gone, the lizard men grab their spears and prepare to defend their home to the very death. The lead goblin answers with a crushing blow. Behind him, the other mutants finish off the remaining defenders with total ease. They begin to feast on the fallen. One lizard tries a desperate ambush, but he is met with another fatal strike. He tells the pack to head back. They are full, and the boss said to leave survivors so they can repopulate later. They drag a prisoner away. A lone survivor cries out for his master, wondering where the lord could possibly be. On the road back, the lizard noble sees his tribe. A scout runs up, begging him to save his family from the goblins. He stands there, completely shocked. And that is where we leave it. He just left the camp and cannot believe they struck this fast. Something smells wrong. All right, stick with me, because we are diving into a story where the monsters are actually the main characters. Back at the camp, a scout yells for Alistair because they found high-tier loot. He is shocked to see his soldiers have evolved. He is floored by their progress. He keeps examining them, trying to solve the mystery of how they hit this new rank. He figures with better steel and armor, he can turn these grunts into an unstoppable legion. Suddenly, a captive screams for mercy. She claims to be the High Lord's wife, demanding her release and threatening they will all be executed. Alistair just grabs her by the hair and tells her to shut her mouth. The captain laughs, saying he brought the boss 2 prizes, a young girl and a lady, to suit his tastes. Our main character wonders where they found them. He asks if they are from the Lizardkin Temple in the Obsidian Sanctum. She sneers that he is right. Her husband is the Lord, and it is far too late for these beasts to beg for mercy. Alistair asks if this lord is the same coward who swore to wipe out his entire goblin stronghold. Now watch closely. The tension here is about to snap as he draws his blade and strikes her down. The leader declares the captives belong to the tribe. The orcs erupt in cheers, praising Alistair for his ruthless leadership. The monsters start brawling over who gets first pick. Alistair just asks what happened to the rest of the lizard folk. His lieutenant admits he ate most of them, but kept a few alive for breeding. Alistair is actually caught off guard. The goblins freeze, worried they crossed a line, but he just tells them their strategy was absolutely brilliant. He laughs loudly, congratulating them and calling them his finest entertainers. The captain bows, saying he was simply doing his duty. Alistair thinks he would love to meet this lizard lord after seeing what a mess his people are. Across the border, the lizard lord is fuming, swearing blood vengeance on the goblins until he gets his family back. But then he sees a nightmare, a pack of goblins feasting on his own people. He knows instantly his wife and daughter are among them. Our hero walks up and mocks him for being late. The beast snarls that today, not a single goblin will be left standing. Then the monster spits on him. Alistair does not hesitate, firing back with a heavy, clean blow to the face. Before it can recover, he is lunging forward and driving a strike deep into its chest. The monster jumps back, clutching the bloody wound. The beast gasps, wondering what just happened, saying he completely blacked out for a split second. Our hero says if he wants to die, he will help. He reminds him this is the East. You cannot summon monsters here. You and I both knew a fight was coming, but watch what happens when the lizard taps into his hidden power. He transforms, becoming a hulking nightmare, and asks what a lowly goblin could possibly do against a god like him. The other goblins panic, shouting that this thing is too strong. Alistair stays calm, already planning his next lethal move. But then, out of nowhere, a holy blade pierces the monster's heart. Alistair stands frozen, unable to believe his eyes. The beast is cleaved in half. Standing behind the corpse is the holy knight, battered, broken, and staring into nothing. She whispers that she finally found him. The goblins panic, sure she is going to kill them, but she looks completely spent. Suddenly, she collapses. Alistair is stunned. Even while dying and wielding a shattered sword, she ended that monster in seconds. He realizes he is lucky, she is out cold. His men want to finish her off right now while she is defenseless. Naturally, they want to do it for their boss. The others just stand there, watching the scene unfold with intensity. Alistair snaps that she is just unconscious. He barks at his men, asking who even gave them permission to kill her. He declares she is worth more alive. As night falls on the camp, they drag the legendary knight into their lair. A female goblin starts poking at the knight, amazed by how soft and delicate human skin actually feels. Slowly, the holy blade begins to glow. Alistair looks down at her, noting it has been a long time since they met. She is not afraid. She starts shouting that she sees goblins, that she has finally found him, and that it is just wonderful. The leader tenses up, warning her not to try anything. She is far too weak to win a fight right now. She forces herself to her feet anyway, chanting the word goblin. Alistair is confused, shouting for his men to move. He yells that they were not raised to just stand there, and orders them to pin her to the ground. A brute tries to grab the rope, but she slips away like a shadow, appearing right in front of Alistair instantly. His servants lose their minds, crying that the boss is a dead man, and it is all their fault. Then the knight drops to her knees. She is not there to kill. She begs him to give her a child. Trust me, you and I just witnessed one of the craziest plot twists ever. And yeah, it gets even weirder. Stick with me, we're about to witness a hellish deal. Lady Seraphina says her hatred ends only if Alaric grants her an heir, or she'll never forgive him. Lord Alaric asks if she truly bore his child before, and what became of the poor babe. She desperately begs the heavens for mercy, blaming those wretched villagers for her failure, and pleading for one final chance to finish her divine punishment. Alaric realizes she is utterly broken, viewing her lost child as a curse from above that drove her mad. In truth, she is just desperately burying the guilt of the lives she took with her own blades. Alaric claims the heavens are enraged because she slaughtered her own kin, but he offers a deal for an heir. The broken woman swears to accept any condition. He demands her absolute obedience during her time of atonement, forcing her to accept that this path is her true penance, too. He calculates that she will be a legendary asset for his growing army. She accepts the penance as a holy decree, satisfying him completely. He then orders every witness to clear the chamber immediately. As she prepares herself and begs for his help, the warlord decides that since she is practically asking for it, he won't hold back. She actually seems to find peace in the moment. The vampire queen tells Alaric to stop playing around. That woman is the Saint of Blades, the strongest warrior in history, so this seems impossible. But she freezes seeing the lady asleep, wondering how this happened. Lord Alaric wonders what kind of absolute chaos would erupt if word of this ever reached the High Kingdom. Now pay attention. Someone asks Alaric what he plans to do with the woman. He orders his guards to watch her so she doesn't flee, then tells her to take a bath and change clothes. She says she will do it now and leaves. Alaric asks for the death toll from the recent plague and orders the bodies prepared today. He has a specific use for them. He suspects the Scale Lord's death will alert the necropolis. To prepare, he must seek out Lord Valerius of the Eyrie once more. He arrives at the mountain peaks, where the winged tribe reacts with genuine shock to the news he brings. Valerius says he needs no explanation, and that if he takes the fallen Scale Lord's seat, he can still justify everything to the great necropolis. The warlord isn't interested in becoming a minor lord, and asks if one of his loyal captains can take command instead. Valerius warns it is possible, but incredibly risky, to send a subordinate. Alaric immediately demands to know the reason why. There is a nightmare demon vying for the throne now that the Scale Lord is dead. Valerius could stop it, but a subordinate probably couldn't. Alaric is intrigued. This creature is a monster that invades dreams to seize total control over its victims. Valerius adds that it is physically weak and shouldn't be able to defeat the High Lords, which Alaric finds very interesting. He realizes he could use this power to influence the Saint of Blades through her dreams and make her obey him. So he commands the Lord to lead him to the demon's lair immediately. He wants to work with it. Later, they reach the dark cavern. A spectral figure emerges, asking who is in desperate need of a beautiful dream. It is shocked to see Valerius accompanied by a common warlord. Alaric says he is there to negotiate a deal. I know what you're thinking. Will the demon listen? Alaric offers it the southern lands for help, but the creature laughs at his audacity. Valerius interjects, revealing that the Scale Lord the demon feared was actually slaughtered by this very man. The demon laughs in disbelief, but eventually asks whose beautiful dreams Alaric wants to destroy. He simply replies it's just a human. His friend warns him that making this demon a lord is dangerous, especially with other threats he can't beat. But Alaric tells him to wait. He has just thought of another plan. The Lord explains this demon has no physical body to devour and could easily kill anyone who refuses to cooperate with its will. Alaric recalls his unique ability to absorb his enemies' essences and merge their power into his own being. He tells them that while normal warriors can't do that, he certainly can. He tells the demon to follow them so they can discuss the details, wanting to understand its power to use it to the fullest. The demon boasts that as long as someone dares to look into its eyes, no one escapes, unless they realize they're in a dream. Alaric gets excited, wondering if dreams are more powerful than a blade. Valerius shouts a warning not to look into its eyes. The creature unleashes its magic, and Alaric goes limp, falling into a deep trance. A moment later, he collapses. Seeing him unresponsive, the demon sneers, thinking it overestimated him. Suddenly, Alaric wakes up near a roaring volcano. He growls as the earth cracks beneath him, and he falls into the lava. The demon laughs, claiming he will stay in the dream and die. The demon mocks his will to fight, but Alaric suddenly fires a devastating blast of energy directly at the creature. The creature is stunned, demanding to know how he resisted. Alaric explains he set a trap. In this world, you only die if you believe it. Alaric mocks the demon's trick, calling it a cheap illusion that won't work on him before charging the demon lord. He lands a heavy blow, shattering the demon. Trust me, you and I need to see what happens next. All right, you and I are jumping right back into the action where this monster curses Len with its dying breath as he levels his weapon for the final blow. The creature finally falls. Len doesn't hesitate for a second. He consumes a piece of the beast and steals its legendary dream-walking ability. The monster gazes up at him in pure terror, while its body begins to warp and dissolve. Moments later, Len fully absorbs the power, leaving his winged allies completely speechless. The High Knight steps forward, eyes wide with concern, asking if he is all right. He admits that Len's transformation was terrifying and asks how it's possible. But the goblin leader just coldly replies that they are ready to move out. Now that the threat is gone, Len claims he has the perfect candidate for the new position. His comrade tells him to relax and promises to handle the negotiations. Later on, deep within the goblin camp, the legendary sword Saint sleeps in a deep, peaceful trance. Our hero uses his fresh power to invade her quiet dreams. He drags her consciousness into a nightmare where a mob screams for her execution and a goblin's death. Watch closely here, because Len creates a scene of total humiliation that mirrors his own past. And honestly, it is exactly the kind of psychological torture he wanted. Suddenly, a blinding light pierces the darkness as an angelic figure descends. The crowd immediately starts to worship the being. The people are convinced it is God himself. They point at the woman, accusing her of being a heretic who defiled their most sacred grounds. They demand her blood, shouting for her execution as a massive abyss opens up right behind her feet. She collapses, begging the deity for mercy and forgiveness. The angelic being reaches out, bathing the entire town in a wave of overwhelming holy energy. The entity asks if she truly understands the weight of her sins. She whispers that she failed to protect the very people she swore to save. God dismisses that as a minor mistake. He tells her she can be redeemed only if she protects and raises a chosen goblin child. When she asks about her other failures, he claims she committed a crime by protecting a band of demons. He begins listing their supposed greed and filth in great detail. He declares that for this betrayal, she will never find peace. Desperate and weeping, she insists she was only trying to guard them. She looks back, and those she protected transform into hideous monsters. God tells her that their presence is why her comrades all died. The demons start mocking her with vile insults, pushing her toward the edge of madness while they chant for her swift death. Finally, she snaps. She screams for them to be silent and charges in, striking them down with brutal, relentless force until nothing is left. She drops to the earth, breathless, telling God the monsters are gone. The entity asks if she finally sees the truth. They only wanted safety, never caring for her well-being. And when she finally fell before the Holy Church, they were the first to strike her down. You and I can feel the shift here. She accepts the truth, touches his hand, and vows to hunt down every last demon in this world. She asks how to reclaim her divine power. He tells her it will only return when the land is finally cleared of every remaining monster. He mentions he has already sent a messenger to guide her path. Then, the vision fades, and the holy sword finally comes to rest. Our hero wakes up exhausted, not expecting dream manipulation to be this draining. But now, her reputation will be changed forever. Len eventually finds her and tells her to eat and prepare for their mission. Shocked, she asks him how he could possibly know about God's plan. She still can't grasp that she's speaking to someone so important. He just tells her that the divine will must remain a secret. She is stunned, wondering if this goblin is truly the messenger from her dreams. When she asks about their next move, he says they will wait for the right moment. Even at level 60, with less than 100,000 power, she works tirelessly to improve her skills. She admits she has only studied the mystic arts for a year. Len tells her that her raw talent is far too great to be wasted. The Goblin King identifies a wealthy city ripe for the taking, firing up his soldiers with the promise of gold and glory. He orders them to mobilize while the army cheers in anticipation. He knows a powerful mage lives there with a library of rare tomes and plans a raid. He seizes the city and grabs a mountain of books for Alice to study. She thanks her master repeatedly until a warrior arrives, asking if they are heading to the next front. She is decked out in full battle plate, and our hero notes that she is clearly ready for war. Alice says she must be ready for God's work. Those monsters caused her 10 years of suffering, and now she is going to make them pay in blood. They soon reach the city gates, where a huge public celebration is currently underway. One of his scouts asks why the crowds have gathered. Our hero explains it is an inauguration and tells the scout to wait while he investigates alone. Below, the grand ceremony begins. His granddaughter, Avel, is being crowned as the youngest city lord in the history of the realm. The citizens are ecstatic. She thanks them for their loyalty, swearing to surpass her grandfather's legacy and promising she will never let her people down. Then she announces that anyone with info on the rogue sword saint must speak up, so she can be dragged back to the Inquisition for punishment. The mob cheers wildly, completely charmed by her speech. While her grandfather watches with pride, our hero sits atop his dragon, watching the whole scene from above. So, you and I can see he is thrilled they want to capture the sword saint. This gets interesting. He knows she will be there soon. Nearby, the goblin legions prepare for battle as the elf commander asks for an update. All right, stick with me because we're watching 6,000 knights get blindsided in their own capital. Our hero orders the berserkers to smash the gates as the grand invasion officially begins. The monsters slam a massive ram against the entrance. The guards panic, screaming for their commander, but they're cut down before they can move. It looks like these elven snipers prefer their new rifles over traditional bows. The main gates finally shatter, and the true bloodbath starts. Orders are barked out and the capital burns while the High Lady watches in horror. Explosions tear through the cobblestone streets as commoners shriek that a dragon has arrived. She screams for order, but the chaos drowns her out. High above, the Archmage leads his sorcerers to confront the invaders. His granddaughter freezes in shock when she realizes they're just fighting mere goblins. She smirks, thinking they're just low-tier pests. They'll end this quickly and celebrate with a drink. She orders a counterattack, promising a feast in the Klein family's name since it's her birthday. But honestly, things are looking pretty grim on the front lines. The goblins are dominating every skirmish. High above the burning city, our hero and the mage finally lock eyes. The old man realizes this is the monster who shattered the holy sword. Our protagonist jokes that his reputation is growing fast. The mage admits he's a threat, but asks if he's prepared for the fallout of this war. The Archmage triggers a magic crystal, summoning a massive meteor that catches our hero completely off guard as it streaks down. He spurs his dragon into a dive, dodging the strike. Then, he decides to return the favor by charging straight for the mage's granddaughter. Panic erupts as people scatter. Now pay attention, because the next few seconds determine everything as the meteor falls. The High Lady senses disaster, but our hero doesn't flinch. His dragon blasts a pillar of flame toward the falling rock. The sorceress unleashes a supreme spell, tearing open a rift to banish the meteor. But then, she suddenly freezes. The dragon has vanished from sight. The Archmage stares in disbelief, certain the beast couldn't have survived that. Our hero commends the girl's talent. Without her, the entire fortress would have been turned to ash by now. A battered knight stumbles forward, bleeding out, and the mage quickly mends his wounds with light magic. A sudden burst of fire streaks toward them, but the old man shields the blast. He snarls, telling the monster to stop with the tricks. Our hero laughs, asking if he's trying to guilt-trip a monster. Goblins don't play by human morals. The mage's face pales. He realized he underestimated them, and they are actually losing this fight. He orders a full retreat into the inner citadel. The survivors scramble inside in a total frenzy as the heavy iron gates slam shut behind them. The knights whisper that they're facing an elite legion of monsters. The men pray for the holy sword's return, but the lady promises to keep them safe. She swears this fortress is absolutely impenetrable, and no enemy will ever step foot inside. Outside the walls, the attackers start losing ground, and their commander calls for a temporary retreat. The High Lady scoffs, claiming they've crushed the threat for good. The Archmage agrees, calling the enemy force pathetic. The girl asks if that was the legendary swordbreaker. If she kills him, she'll finally be the strongest, right? The mage encourages her. You and I know Lin hadn't planned on a massacre, but since they're so arrogant, he's not holding back anymore. The woman mocks him, calling him delusional for thinking he can still win this war. She gestures to her elite guards, ordering the strongest knight to pursue him while the rest hold position. A sorcerer panics as the enemy approaches, but the lady points to their unbreakable magic ward. Suddenly, a massive beastman steps forward to handle the barrier personally. The beastman charges his energy and walks toward the ward. The archmage curses, sensing that his lifetime's work is about to fail. Spiderweb cracks begin to spread across the magic barrier. Inside, the terrified masses beg for a miracle. Our hero notes that if they won't leave, he'll just have to smoke them out. As the battle rages, the invaders gain the upper hand. The knights want to save the civilians, but the archmage forbids it. The citadel is their final stand, and they can't risk a breach. He's stunned that his masterwork ward is being shattered by common monsters. Citizens shout that their families are trapped outside the walls. They start forming a mob, determined to protect their loved ones. They rush the main gates, as the guards desperately try to hold them back. The lady demands silence, promising her protection, but a strange glow from behind forces her to turn around. She finds her elite guards slumped on the floor. An elf blows smoke from her rifle barrel before lining up her next shot. The old man wonders why elves are siding with monsters, and how their weapons are so terrifyingly precise. The elven sniper replies that humans treated her kind like property, and now, it is finally time for payback. The mage casts a final shield, warning his granddaughter to flee. And that's where we leave it. Things are about to get even messier. A scout reports the exit is blocked by goblins. Lord Alistair wonders how these low-level creatures could ever be this strong. Is their secret just a massive power boost? You and I just finished part 1. Leave a like and comment for more. See you later.